Hi, everyone. I'm jumping in on the fly because Jen said that she's on the phone right now. So I'm just gonna say hi to everyone. Oh, there she is. Sorry, Jen wasn't sure.
No,
Oh,
babe, you did the right thing. Thank you for having my back. I appreciate that. Elizabeth called, and you guys know that Elizabeth and Olivia are my they're my whole world, so they are priority. And
absolutely.
I had to take her call. She never calls at this time, so I figured if she was calling that it was important. You know
Well,
what I
I hope
mean?
everything's okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're okay.
Oh, good, good, good,
Yeah,
good,
yeah, yeah.
good.
Yeah.
All
I have to
right.
tell you guys a little Olivia Chicken Eggy Pot Pie Esquire story though.
Wait, I don't like being on this side. Hold on.
Oh, you want okay.
All right.
Better?
Yes.
Okay. So yesterday Elizabeth sent me pictures of Olivia Chicky Nuggy Pot Pie Esquire. She got a lawnmower that blows bubbles for her birthday.
Oh,
And she was out in the yard playing with
precious.
it. Oh my God, she was having the time of her life. She was living her best life.
Oh, precious.
Yes. She had her hair up in one of those little, like, real high ponytails. Oh my God, Josh, she looks so stinking cute. I couldn't take it. Oh, how is everybody? I appreciate you being patient with me. You guys are so great about that. What a day. What a day.
So, yeah, I got some catching up to do. I just got to the cross, so I didn't even watch cross. So here I am, half informed.
Before we get started, let me give you a word from our sponsors.
And Kai, when you're on Jen Lou's channel, what do you do with the like button?
Smash, smash, smash. Yeah.
I love that.
That will never get old to me. Never. Let me
Ever.
NK it. Never. Because the boot comes out after a while. What a day, you guys. What a day. So when we last left Alec, he was on the stand and he was basically just, oh, hold on a second. He wasn't doing himself no favors. I'll tell you that right now.
Really? You think so? No, seriously. I'm really, really, really trying to, be on the, like, how they say, like, the evidence will always favor the state in these
Yes.
kind of cases. So I'm taking the stance of I'm really gonna presume that he's innocent, even though I've seen all I've seen and I've heard all I've heard.
Right.
The fact that SLED really like messed this up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and be very generous, and I'm just gonna watch him well, listen to his side of the story. And I'm really going to try to give him the presumption of, all right, like, I'm going to keep buying your bullshit until it doesn't make no more sense. And then we'll see where we'll go from there.
Well, I believe that we have probably, in my opinion, I feel like I've
Well,
reached that point
me
where
too.
I've
After he
given
said,
him the
after,
benefit of the doubt until he started with some of this cockamamie ass bullshit, and that's exactly what it was. Hey,
yeah,
Charlie.
I
Hey,
mean,
Panda. Hi, everybody. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry, sorry, sorry.
yeah, no, you go ahead. Just play the damn thing. I can't even.
Well, this is what I thought we would do. I thought we would do it a little speedier, um,
Yes.
because obviously, but I wanted to kind of start where we left off, which was at lunch, but I'm going to speed them up. So we should be able to get through the rest of the day. I know it
Just
says that
please tell me that they're coming back in the morning.
they are.
Oh, good. Okay.
Where else would they go, honey?
Well, I don't know. I thought maybe because, like I said, I didn't get to cross, and I was like, I just know they didn't finish crossing
Oh,
him.
no.
Oh,
No, they
good.
did not
Okay.
finish cross. And so the thing of it is, no, they did not finish cross. And at the end of the day, they've apparently got a couple of experts that have come in, and the poot was like, "Yeah, Anna, we've got experts that we've got them flown in, and it's going to cost us a great expense. Could we possibly and interrupt the cross?" And the
Oh,
city was like, "Oh, hell no." They got a long time today. And I didn't think it was going to take as long to get to where we got today. I didn't think it was going to take this much amount of time. And frankly, I think I've been more than accommodating. And Putin said, "But Joanna, the expense." And the judge said, "I'm not going to make him cut his or interrupt his cross."
I think
And
that's fair.
it is fair. And I think the Putin was mad. And he said something snarky, but you'll have to stay till the end.
All right.
All right, let me fix this so it's big. Are y'all ready? Here we go.
I can't with the snot, y'all.
No, none of us can. All right, here we go.
Mr. Murdaugh, I want to
Oh, that's too loud.
go to June the 7th, 2021, in your meeting with Gene Seckinger.
Okay.
Do you remember Ms. Seckinger?
I do.
And what was the meeting about?
Jeannie came up to me and asked me previously, Annette Griswold.
Here we go. Let me just say this. It would have been a whole lot better, in my opinion, if he would have said, "Jeannie Seckinger, new phone, who dis?" Like, he has been avoiding answering. He's not mentioned anything about this particular situation in any of his interviews with the police. So why address it today? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just Jeannie who
Had come and asked me about the fee check in the Ferris case. And Jeannie was coming to me and saying that she was following up on that. If she didn't, she wouldn't be doing her job, and asked me some questions,
Well, let me ask you
which I understood.
Good to see you.
briefly.
Good to see
the
everybody
Ferris
that's come in.
fee,
And I didn't
what-
greet personally
what
because
originally
I
happened
was
to it?
tardy.
The PMPED portion of the Ferris fee.
I mean, originally,
Yes, sir.
Every
come to you
time.
direct?
Now,
Yes.
now the song is
Should
in
have
my
come to you
head.
directly.
no.
Did when Ms. Seckinger,
Just so y'all know, and I'm not going to pause it because we're never going to get through this, but I have to get this out. Otherwise, it's going to be stuck in my head. But every time they mention PMPD, all I can hear is, "I don't know what you heard about me." Because I'm a motherfucking PIMP. All right. Sorry. I know all of it, but I think I think I got enough. Gang, gang. I think I got enough out that I should be okay for the rest of the time. Okay.
asked you about where the fee was, what'd you tell her?
I can't remember exactly what I told her.
I told her
The-
lies.
The conversation got interrupted very quickly, but I told Jeannie that the funds were in Chris Wilson's account and
The
nothing to
lie
worry about.
detector
I didn't know where the mix-up
determined
came
that was a
from.
lie. Got it. Mhm.
What was your level of concern about Ms. Seckinger's inquiry to you on June the 7th?
There was some level of concern because she's asking me about money that I took that I wasn't supposed to have. So certainly I had some level of concern, but it wasn't a very big concern.
What was
As you
your-
heard testimony earlier,
I'm not going to make it, you guys. I can already tell.
at some point, Annette Griswold had sent Chris Wilson an email, something to the effect of, Alec thinks he has more expenses or something like that.
I just want to know
seeking
what the level
financial
of his
documents from Chris
concern
Wilson.
was.
When Chris Wilson got,
Like on
I
a
wasn't
scale
copied
of
on that, but
terror
when Chris
alert.
Wilson got
Were
that,
we from
Chris
green
Wilson
to
called me
red?
up and he's
Where
like,
was it, Alec?
you know, what is this all about?
Pardon?
Said objection, rules 801 and 802. Your Honor.
Response?
Your Honor, I'm not asking for what Chris Wilson said, and I'll move on. I accept the objection.
Yeah, let's move on because he's just
Were you
babbling.
concerned about Chris Wilson opening his trust account records to your law firm?
No, I was not concerned about that at all.
And why were you not concerned?
I knew that one of the people that Chris Wilson, as you heard, Chris Wilson and I were very close. We talked every day. I did work with him all the time. And I mean, he was one of the people closest to me in the whole world. I knew everything about him. And I knew he was going through one of his partners, and he and his partner had split up. A partner and an associate had moved to a firm in Charleston.
Bruh.
The partner was going through a divorce.
Point.
And the wife of the partner was trying
I
to
can't
get Chris
believe he's
Wilson's
telling
trust
this
documents in that case
You
to
know
find
what
out
he's doing?
money her husband, nothing to do with Chris and anything. It totally had to do with that. But I knew that Chris Wilson was not going to send any financial documents to my law firm, at least at that time, and at least not anytime soon. So while I'm sure it registered with me that I got to deal with this, at that particular time, it wasn't anything that was a big deal.
Was there
How are
an
you gonna
immediate
deal with
urgency
it?
to the situation on June the 7th?
No.
Yeah, how were you going to deal with
and I
it,
believe-
sir?
There's Ms. Seconder testified about your conversation with her. You learned that your dad was going back in the hospital.
That's correct. There was a text. I can't remember if that text came from my brother Randy or my brother John, but they were the ones that were taking my dad back to the hospital that day. And whichever one was with him, I believe it's John was with him at the hospital, but I know Randy was with him at some treatment. It's in those documents. But bottom line is, we got a text saying, we knew my dad was really sick. He had cancer and he couldn't breathe. And there was a big issue about whether his inability to breathe was coming from an obstruction caused by the cancer, which was the worst case scenario. And that's what it ended up being ultimately. And that's
I'm
what he
sorry
died from.
for the loss of your father, but we
But
don't
this
need his
particular
medical
text was
history.
saying, okay, we're putting him back in the hospital. The doctor thinks it's pneumonia, and which was, I mean, pneumonia is never a good thing, but when compared to cancer,
Hey, LFT,
at that
good
time,
to see you.
pneumonia, that was a good thing to learn that.
So on the 7th, where the information you had, you believe at that time that the prognosis was pretty positive for your father?
Well, it was better than the alternative. I'm not going to say it was good, but it was better than the alternative and what we previously thought it was. It didn't stay good very long, but it definitely was better.
Do you know whether or not you told Ms. Seconder that that your dad's condition was terminal on the 7th? Do you remember whether you said that or not?
No, I wouldn't have said that at that time. And when Jeannie, as soon as the
here
thing
we
comes through that
go.
my dad's going in the hospital, Jeannie and I, as you heard, she stopped the meeting. We stopped it. It lasted a couple minutes. Now, my dad's going in the hospital, and
Hey, Debo.
the very next day, learned that he's terminal. And I'm just sure that a year or the amount of time that's gone by, Jeannie assumed she was terminal. He was terminal.
Speculation, Your Honor.
Objections overruled.
Mr. Murdaugh,
Dean, all I'm going to say to you is K, period.
on June the 7th, did you believe that your financial house of cards was about to crumble?
On June the 7th?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely not.
Had you had, and I think there's documented evidence, state introduced, had you reached out to Russell Lafitte at Palmetto State Bank about extending a line of credit on the Moselle property?
Yeah, I had reached out to him. I can't remember the date of that text, but it was fairly recently. I had reached out to Russell.
And on June 7th, did you have equity in the Moselle property or you and Maggie had equity in that Moselle property?
Sure. And Moselle was fully in Maggie's name.
Okay.
But yes, there was equity in Moselle. In looking at the documents that had been used, there was $1,800,000 owed. There was an appraisal for $3.3 million without timber value. And so on 1,700 acres, I don't know what the timber value was, but if you just said $1,000 an acre, that'd be another $1,000,000-something in value over and above the appraisal. I doubt the timber value was that high. I'm just using that as an example. But if it was 500, it'd be another $800,000. So, there was several $1 million in equity in that Moselle property.
So
And did,
let me get this
Did
straight.
you have
Can you
equity?
pause him for a second?
Yeah.
What is the
I
point
am.
of this
I got it.
testimony?
I'm over there. Okay.
Like, what is he trying to say? That like, oh yeah, even though I stole $10 million, like I had $10 million in equity, so it's like a even Steven, you know? Like,
I could
what is
like
what
I
is the
think he's
point of
trying
this?
to I think he's trying to say that money was an issue, but it wasn't a huge issue. Like he wasn't so pressed that he could be Flat Stanley. I think
Right,
that's
but
what
he
he's trying
stole
to.
10 million, so like it makes it
Correct.
seem like he's, you know, like minimizing it, like he doesn't feel remorse or whatever. So
I don't.
that's not a
It's
good look,
it's
Alec.
not. I don't understand. Mo, I respect your opinion, but I got to be honest with you. I don't think we watched the same trial. I really don't. I really don't. I caught him in at least 4 or 5 lies. The rest of it was nonsense. And I am really trying to see it from Alec's point of view, but I just cannot get my head up my own ass that far. Is there some kind of stretching I could do, hot yoga, something? Because nothing he said made a lick of sense. And I'm talking about reality, common sense. Nothing. None of his explanations made sense to me. None.
Yes.
And around June 7th.
I'm glad you
equities,
agree,
you haven't- that
Alec.
is no issue.
None of the shit you said
If I
today
remember the
made
records
sense.
correctly, there was about $250,000 owed on that house and whatever the value was at the time. I
Oh
think,
yeah, Jenny, I like to
I
pull
think there's
all
a contract for just under $1 million.
my
so
reads from
700 and something thousand
other
dollars.
people's closets
Did,
and attics.
Maggie's death make it more difficult to obtain financing immediately after the murder around June 7th, 8th?
Maggie's, yes,
How so?
because the entire Moselle property was
I'm
100%.
not talking about his
Maggie's
money.
name.
I'm talking about look.
The Edisto property was
I think we can all
50%
agree he's
in
a
Maggie's name.
thief.
So I was only
He
a
stole
half
these
owner.
clients' money.
So
What I'm talking about is
with Maggie,
his testimony
all I had to
surrounding
do
the
is get her to
murders.
sign the
None of that
documents,
shit
which
made a lick of
she
sense.
always did. I mean, she didn't
Hey
question
T, how you doing,
finances.
babe?
So, I mean, she signed the papers. When Maggie wasn't here, there was estate issues. I couldn't go and sign the papers like I would normally go and get a loan. So I couldn't.
On, was there a hearing scheduled in the voting lawsuit where you were a defendant set for that week?
Yes.
Do you remember what day it was scheduled for?
Well, I mean, I've heard the testimony and I'm sure I knew at the time it's June the 10th, Thursday, June the 10th.
What was your level of concern about that?
God,
Coming up
why?
on June the 10th.
Why?
About
I
that
don't
hearing,
Yes,
know.
sir.
my level of concern about that hearing
This is like
was
the worst
about the venue motion that was coming up.
question asker.
I feel like Harpootlian
I
would have done a
can't.
much better job of asking him these questions and could have mitigated this
They just
testimony better. But
The two
I
of
don't
them
think
sound like two babbling idiots.
right,
Like
but I don't think
seriously.
that
Like Griffin is more nervous about this life sentence than Alec is. Like,
Alec
why
doesn't
are you stuttering? What the hell were you doing? Like,
right. I don't get
at
it. I
least
think
prepare for this. This is your performance of your lifetime, bro. Like, why do you have to stutter? You already know, like, you've been on this case since it fucking happened. You know it inside and out. What is the problem? So I think the pooch is
problem
much better at formulating questions as on the go. Like, you know what I mean?
right
Like,
on the fly.
he's better at
he's got
yes.
a wittier repartee. I agree. And I think the Poot would have been better in this situation because I think that he would have taken I think he would have taken the reins and reeled Alec back in. Whereas, and I think this is an example of the dynamic of the defense team. There was one earlier today too that I pointed out, but now I can't remember it. I'll remember it later. But this is an example of who's actually running the show, who's the hierarchy. So it goes the Poot, Alec, everybody else on that defense table, and then Jim Griffin. Like, he's, a bench warmer. Honestly, you got to control the testimony of your client. You're letting Alec go off into the weeds, which causes him to over explain things, which I don't think looks good in front of the jury. And that's my opinion. We'll find out, I guess.
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, I don't know, obviously, like with lawyers, things are different in terms of like the ethics around it. But I know that like in mental health, for example, like it would be unheard of for me to like treat one of my friends, but all of these people are like best friends and they work cases together. They represent each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's so many lines blurred that it would be completely like it will be near impossible for this Jim character to truly deliver a good cross-examination without being able to set aside, direct examination, without being able to set aside all of the personal stuff that they have going on. And that stuff is so intrinsic. Like when you and I look at each other, we can already tell what we're kind of thinking. Like we're at that level. So a lot of times, like we can get into this like back and forth to where like we're talking on our level, but like from the outside listening in, it sounds like two fucking babbling idiots, because both of them are emotionally triggered.
I would never classify the repartee between the two of us as babbling idiots. Now,
well, you wouldn't put me on the stand. That's exactly my point.
No, I would never put you on the mother. No. I would not.
I agree with you that, the hierarchy is there. And I also agree with you because both of these lawyers that are representing Alec have, long
They're friends.
ties with the whole family.
Yes.
And there's a power dynamic there, like, so I essentially, what I think is this is Alec Murdaugh's version of grounds of Daryl Brooks representing himself.
Oh my God, yes.
So and we've heard a lot of testimony actually about Alec being just great in the courtroom. Like he has the charisma, he knows how to reel in a jury, he knows how to work a jury. And I actually think that it's coming out, like, you can clearly see it. Like he's yes, he rambles, but I think like he says Paul is ADHD, and I can see the characteristics in Alec as well. Like he's jumping from topic to topic, and that's consistent, like in all of the interviews. And like people are testifying that he's like having 4 conversations at once, like not paying attention to any one particular thing. And so there's that kind of side to him. So that's almost to be expected. I think that's actually what makes him human, is because like he has those quirks, So anyway, so I think that he definitely is working the jury. And now I'm also wondering about the jury, about the makeup of the jury, because obviously they're not us, right? They're not going to be like, "Are you serious?" So I'm trying to imagine this, group of Alec's peers from Hampton County, in the South, where they say, "Yes, sir, thank you, ma'am." Even like, when your objection is sustained, you say thank you, like, So I don't know if like this. I mean, this is what his job was. His job was to convince a jury, and he was apparently very successful at it.
Well, he's
I
on
think
the stand as a lawyer.
exactly,
and nothing is more there. It's never more evident that he is on the stand as a lawyer than an under cross,
Well, and I'm sure because
which makes sense.
you can't erase that. Like,
No, it's
you
intrinsic.
can't.
It's part of who he is now.
Yes,
Like it
and
would
he's
be like
probably
taking the Jen Lou out of Jen Lou. You can't, that's where my muchness is. You can't take that out of me. I carry that bitch wherever I
yeah.
go.
Can you imagine being cross-examined by someone, I don't know, about something like that? Of course, like that doesn't make. I don't know how to explain. Like if they ask you a question, you already know like where it's going. Like I'm not
Right.
gonna dance this, and finally, also not to mention that like this is what they do, and it wouldn't surprise me if the prosecutor, what is his name, Walters,
Yes. Waters.
Waters.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, like, if Alec and him like came across each other in like school or what, like, you know what I mean? Like if they
Oh yeah,
did
they
like
know
mock
each other.
trials
They know each
mock
other.
trials together. So I'm sure that
Mhm.
Alex is well aware of Waters' approach and method, and how, because a lot of times, oh my God, I'm going on a rant, but I promise I'll wrap it up now. A lot of times these lawyers, like, especially when cross-examining, like you want to intimidate them, like, it's a method, like it's meant to
Mhm.
do, like it's a lot of psychological factors, and Alec knows that, so of course he's not going to let it affect him in that way, and it's going to be basically a battle of the lawyers, so to
Yeah.
speak, like who's going to outsmart the other.
Yep.
So
Who's gonna
anyways,
out-lawyer him?
oh, sorry, that was a really long rant.
No, you're fine, babe.
Now, what do you mean by venue?
The venue is where a civil lawsuit is pending. And so there's laws and rules that govern where you can bring a case. There's laws and rules that govern how certain parties, a defendant or a plaintiff, can go about trying to move it from one place to another. So in this case, the plaintiffs, the Beach family, had filed suit in Hampton County. Parker's was trying to move venue to Beaufort County.
Hang on a minute. Now, Mo, Dean, I've been really patient, and you've never been blocked. I've never said you have a difference of opinion, get out or anything like that. And low key, I think we both know that some of your comments are trolling, but they're germane to the conversation. So I've been cool with it. But what you're not going to do is talk about my friend like that, or any panel guests that I have. That I will not tolerate in this chat. Okay.
Well, she do got a point though.
That's not the point. It's a better way to say it.
I wanted the case to stay in Hampton County.
In other words, Mo's trying to say
and-
gets the point. This is why you don't
Really,
go
that was my only thought about. I wasn't
your own
doing the legal
defense.
work on those. I was a party
Yeah,
in that
but-
case. I wasn't. Danny Henderson was primarily representing me personally. John Tiller and Amy Bauer were representing me personally.
I'm
and
gonna let
Dawes
it go,
Cook was representing
because
me
you're okay
personally.
with
and
it.
those are the guys that were doing the legal work. So, I wasn't actually doing that work, but what I was concerned about was the venue motion. I had already done what I had to do for the financial motion. And Danny Henderson was on me about getting him a financial statement because
Let's stop. So there was a motion to compel and seek a lot of financial records from you. Was that correct?
absolutely.
And were you concerned that your financial house was going to be opened up for the world as a result of that hearing?
No, I've been a plaintiff's lawyer like Mr. Tinsley that sat here. We do the same exact thing. In my law firm, the guys in my law firm are some of the best lawyers that I've ever known. And they're definitely some of the best lawyers in the state, handling some of the biggest cases that have ever gone on in this state.
Well, you picked two buffoons
in my
to
27 years of
represent.
practicing,
Well,
Plaintiffs
they're not part of his
always
law firm, but geez,
are-
well,
trying to
they were
look
going to
and
represent
get
Paul.
financial documents
in
of
the
I know.
defendants,
You know,
those type things. In my 27 years, I've never been able to get a judge to order anything
And I
more
believe
than
that
a
part
net worth
of his
statement
testimony.
I
prior
do
to
too.
Mhm.
getting into a phased
I don't
trial.
think that worried
So
him.
early on in the case, I am not aware of, I personally
Bye,
have
Tom.
never, despite trying repeatedly, have never been able to get a judge to order the kind of information that Mark Tinsley was saying he was seeking.
Were you working on a document for that upcoming hearing?
Yes,
And what was that?
a financial statement. A financial statement lists your assets and your liabilities.
And had you reached out to Jeannie's seconder later the day on the 7th to get your current balance of your retirement account?
You know, I don't remember doing that, but that'd certainly be something that I did. And because I know I'd have to have that for that financial statement. And the document that I prepared was what Mark Ball talked about.
Oh, the paperwork.
That he
Oh, the
found
paper, the writing.
later in my office. And it was it was handwritten, ready to be typed up by, you know,
By who? Who's going to take
because
it?
of the charges against Paul. I kept everything very close in the civil case. It was Danny in his office. It was doing it. And I had that document prepared, handwritten in the neatest handwriting that I could make, because a secretary other than mine, a paralegal other than mine, was going to be the person who was going to put that financial information into the final document.
Now, I'll say this. This part of his testimony, I do believe. I do
Yeah, me
believe
too.
that he was very, very, very concerned about the criminal case with Paul. Very concerned. And I think that I believe. But I do think in the back of his head, he was at least entertaining that there is a possibility, because you never can tell what a judge is going to do. You never can tell what another person is going to do. And I feel like in the back of his mind, he was at least entertaining the possibility that there was a potential that the judge might grant Tinsley what he was requesting, all of it. You know what I mean? And make an order as such. You have to at least prepare for that. Any good lawyer would prepare for that, would at least and that would have been stressful.
Document. And that's the document that Mark Ball talked about that he found on my desk
Hey, y'all coming
whenever it
in?
was that he found it. So that was what was going to be, if necessary, what was going to be used Thursday.
Alec, jury's heard about testimony of you stealing client funds. Did you do that?
I did.
Did you steal or divert that Ferris fee away from the law firm?
I did.
How did you get in such a financial predicament?
Hey, I'm not Obama.
Led you to steal money that wasn't yours?
No, I'm not quite sure how I let myself get where I got, but it came from, I battled that addiction for so many years. I was spending so much money on pills. I got in a spot I couldn't.
Now, what type of addiction are you referring to?
My addiction is to opiate painkillers,
And when
specifically oxycodone, OxyContin.
And when did you first become dependent or addicted to opioids?
Oxycodone or opiates in general?
Opiates in general?
Bruh.
I'm not sure of the
Right.
exact date, but
That's a lawyer
to give you a
response.
time frame. I hurt my knee really bad playing football in college, and I had a knee surgery. And the medical science at the time was such that the surgery
So he
didn't work.
asks a clarifying
So
question only to go back and start from the
just didn't
very
last.
beginning.
So within a
and
couple of
tell
years,
you
I
everything.
started having a lot of knee
Correct.
troubles. And ultimately, I had to have a couple of surgeries, but
And then the
the-
other, sorry,
last
Jen,
surgery I
I'm
had was,
No, you're
I think,
fine.
around
Really
2000.
I'm
quickly.
just going to turn
and
it
sorry,
down.
Mo, too.
I think it was around 4. So
But,
I started taking hydrocodone.
As I was listening to this earlier, I was thinking, this could be another potential, jury playing thing, because,
Everybody
this is the
knows
face.
somebody who's been touched by the opioid crisis.
Go back to it.
Yeah, and this is the face of it,
Mhm.
and
After a while, I was
and
taking
so
so much
again,
Tylenol
I think it's
oxycodone.
the reason why he's so, relaxed about this and talking about it is because I think it humanizes him more. And also provides him, the excuse of being able to say that he was paranoid and stuff like
Mhm.
that. But
See,
only
that's-
about that one specific thing. He wasn't paranoid about anything.
What doesn't make sense to me about his paranoia with Sled. So you're telling me that you were paranoid
That I
about
went to
SLED,
detox or that I
but-
detoxed?
Well,
that you gave them
let's
carte
start with
blanche to
going
do
a
whatever,
Detox facility.
but you were
I
paranoid.
Right.
went to a detox facility 3 times.
And I was thinking about the shirt because I was talking about the shirt. Why didn't he just, or the clothes that he was
December
wearing?
of 2017.
You know what? He didn't have to hand the clothes over,
And,
but he could tell the
before December
detectives,
2017,
I have
have
the
you tried to
clothes, and then make him get a
detox at
search
home?
warrant. Doesn't have to help. He doesn't
I tried
have
to
to
do
hand them
every way I
over,
could.
but at least say you've got them and make them do the work.
When you,
Maggie would help me. Go ahead.
yeah, when you went in to was it inpatient facility?
The detoxes, the formal detoxes that I
Yeah,
went to?
in December 2017.
Yes, it was it was inpatient. And all 3 formal detoxes that I've done have been at the same facility called Sunrise Detox in Atlanta, Georgia.
I think that he
And
had a,
Very good facility.
I'm going to
You
say
heard
this.
Audio tape
He
of it.
keeps like throwing out these shout outs to all these places, like he's promoting them and shit.
Like they really want his promotion. I'll say this. Do I think that Alec, it's very easy to become addicted to pain pills. It's not that difficult, right? You do, your body
You don't
doesn't
even have to
gotta
do anything other
exactly
than just
like
take it.
then just take them as prescribed. That's not but do I think that he was spending the amount of money that he claims he was spending on pills? No, I don't. I think there's far more to it. I think that this is just my opinion for allegedly for entertainment purposes only. I think Alec and Cousin Eddie had a side business, Cousin Eddie and Alec Pill Mill LLC. All right. And I think Alec was the money for it.
You know how he made the fake Forge? He probably
Mhm.
made a Pfizer, but with an F, like a Wish version of
Stop
Pfizer.
it. Stop it. And his bank account in the Caymans or wherever.
Conference
Bank
with
of
SLED agents.
America.
Is that where you were during that meeting?
A local bank.
The first time you went to the detox in Atlanta, how long of a stay is that? Did you stay?
7 days is the opiate detox program.
Right. But
And
what
is there a
about
difference between
rehab?
detox and rehab?
Yes, there's
Yes.
a huge difference.
What's the difference?
Detox is it's the act of getting the drugs out of your system, getting to the point where, okay, there is no longer a physical dependency.
No.
Right? And that's a big difference.
Wrong.
Rest of the dependency, but the physical
Okay. That's not how it works. Detox is to get you down to where you don't have the drug in your system any longer, but it's medicated and it's monitored and it's safe, because detoxing causes withdrawals. And if you're just doing it white knuckle, cold turkey, you can have seizures, you can die for real. So that's all that it is. It is getting you off of your drug of choice in a safe, monitored way. It does not take away the physical dependency on it, not in detox. It's the start of it, but then you got to take yourself to rehab where you address the issue that caused you to self-medicate and be addicted in the first damn ass place. The end.
Dependency.
Yeah, there's a psychological and a
Be gone for 7
physiological
days.
dependence.
Correct.
In other words, there's so many things. Opiate withdrawal is, it's
Oh,
It's
Nora,
hard.
Brittany, Mallory, and I are going to be on Truth
but
Tellers
supposedly at the
panel
end of 7
tonight.
days, you don't have those physical symptoms. Like, I don't want to be too graphic, but you're sick, you throw up, you have terrible diarrhea, you sweat like you're running a marathon. You can't hold your legs still. You can't lay down. Now, like what I'm talking about, the legs moving, that goes away after about 24 hours. So, after about 24 hours, you can lay down and you sleep some, but you sweat, you throw up. You just have, there's so many issues, but after 7 days, those are supposed to be over. That's what detox is, the detoxification of your body.
And what's rehab?
Rehab is the period that you go to learn how to stay off. You're supposedly off after detox. Rehab is where you get help staying off.
And before September 2021, had you ever gone to that second stage of rehab?
No.
So in December 2017, How long did it take you to relapse once you got home from detox?
Not long at all. I mean,
How
you're
Excuse
still-
me, pause real quick,
those
please.
physical
Okay,
dependencies
hold-
gone, you still have, I mean, you're still so sick.
No, which
So if
it's
you're
the addict
wondering-
mentality. That's what you still have. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
and
go ahead.
he's saying detox, and he always left detox before he would go to rehab. So then you ask yourself, like, okay, so what's the point of going to detox if you're just gonna go there, suffer for 7 days through withdrawals, and then go right back with nothing to just dive right back in? So I was thinking the other thing that detox does is it lowers your tolerance, and after a while, that becomes a strategy as well of like going to detox for a couple of days, lowering that tolerance, and then kind of saving money a little bit. And if you're spending 50 grand a week or a month or whatever it is,
It was quite substantial.
right. So I would think that, like that can buy you enough oxys to like supply a whole little
Village.
country.
Mm. For real, for
Yeah.
real.
I mean, you just,
Is that something you've been battling for quite some time?
as long as I can remember.
How long have you been drug-free, opioid-free?
Since I got
535
locked up.
days. And I'm very proud of that.
I mean,
I want to ask you
let me not
questions
be an
about Labor
asshole.
Day weekend,
Congratulations
2021.
on your sobriety.
Okay.
You remember being confronted by your
That
law
is
firm?
hard.
Sure I do.
And what were you confronted about?
Stealing money.
And did you admit your misconduct to your law partners?
Well, to one of my law partners and my brother and my law partner, Danny and Randy. Yeah, I mean,
Did-
admit it.
And they learned about a fake Forge
That's what
account.
I think, Brittany.
You admit that the fake Forge account.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
I
they
did.
busted you big time. I mean, like,
And
you don't
did
make
you
me,
tell them about your
bust out
opioid
Pauly
struggles,
D.
opioid addiction?
because I'll do
Told him
it.
about my addiction. Yes, sir.
To your knowledge, were any of your law partners aware of your addiction?
Not just to my knowledge. I'm certain that they were not aware of my addiction.
How would you characterize your opioid use or addiction? Severe, moderate?
Then or now?
Well, now you
No,
shouldn't be
in
addicted at
in
all.
2020, 2021?
I mean, I don't know how I would have characterized it then. After going to rehab and learning some more of the things I've learned, really talking to addicts about experiences. I mean, I will tell you that my addiction was extremely, extremely bad.
How were you able to function? Or were you able to function?
Yes, I was able to function.
You were able to practice law?
Yes.
And were you successful practicing law while you were addicted to opioids?
On some level, yes, sir. I was successful. I mean,
After you were confronted on Labor Day weekend 2021, did you resign or were you forced to resign from the law firm?
absolutely.
And then on Saturday, September the 4th, do you remember what happened that day?
Saturday, September 4th. Yes, sir. I remember.
And what happened?
Start when I woke up.
Well, let's start after you met with Chris Wilson. Did you meet with Chris Wilson?
I met with Chris Wilson at my mom's and dad's house in Alameda.
And did you lay it out for Chris Wilson, your opioid addiction and your misconduct?
I definitely laid out my addiction. I definitely gave him some details about monies that I'd taken. I didn't give him, we didn't go into all the details about
Oh,
all
you
of
didn't
it.
give
but
him your life story?
I certainly was
Thank
very
you.
candid with him about the things that involved him.
Had you already just contacted the detox facility before you met with Chris Wilson on the 4th?
Okay.
I believe that we had already,
I want y'all to listen to this story. Okay. He's about to go into the events of September 4th, which is the roadside shooting. Okay. I want you to listen to his thought process, all the things that he did, and then we're going to talk about whether or not you believe the story. Okay? Here we go. I'm going to mute. I'm not going to say one damn thing until he's done with this story.
At that point, I believe that we had already spoken to the guy that I knew from Sunrise and made arrangements for me to go there on Monday.
Okay. And
I know we had arrangements for me to go there on Monday, and I'm sure we had to have had it by then because I went to the hospital shortly after that. So yes,
and did you reach out to Blanca to get your insurance information?
I did.
Yep. And for what purpose?
Because I was going to use my insurance at Detox and Rehab to help pay for it.
And what was your immediate plans after, for the day after you met with Chris Wilson? Did you have plans to do anything? Have any other?
I forgot I have to give y'all a trigger warning. He's going to talk about self-harm. So this is your trigger warning. It might be sensitive material for some people. So viewer discretion is advised. That's all I'm saying. All right.
Meetings on that Saturday?
I wanted to go and meet with Corey Fleming, who was another lawyer who was affected by the things I did.
Okay. And did you?
And a good friend.
Did you go meet with Corey Fleming?
No.
What'd you do instead?
I'd given when I gave my pills to my brother Randy and Danny, I think I gave them to Randy, but I took a lot of pills because I knew I wasn't going to be taking anymore. So Randy had my pills. I had to get some from him the night before, but I only got a small amount. I could tell, I wasn't taking anything near like what I had been taking. So I knew it was coming. And I called someone to bring me more pills. And before I met with Chris Wilson.
And did you meet did the person you called bring you more pills?
I don't know if he brought me more pills or not, because by the time I met with him, after meeting with Chris and after, the starting of the withdrawals, I changed my plans.
And what was the change in plans?
Not to get pills from him anymore. And instead, I asked him to shoot me.
Did you ask him to shoot you as a sympathy ploy, or did you want?
As a sympathy ploy?
Yes, sir. Why
No.
ask him to shoot you? What was the end goal that you wanted to accomplish?
I meant for him to shoot me so I'd be gone.
And who was this? Who did you ask to do this?
Eddie Smith.
And did he in fact shoot you?
He did.
And where was that located? Not your gunshot, but where were you shot in Hampton or Colleton County? Where were you?
It's Hampton County. It's just right on the border of Salkehatchie Road. It runs right along the Salkehatchie River.
And why did you want to be gone?
I mean, I knew all this was coming to a head. I knew how humiliating it was going to be for my son. I'd been through so much. At the time, in the bad place that I was, it seemed like a better thing to do. I don't think that way now, thankfully, but
Right.
I did at the time.
Did you have life insurance on you?
Oh yeah, I had a lot of life insurance.
And who was the beneficiary?
Maggie was the beneficiary.
How much life insurance did you have?
I had $12 million. I had a $4 million policy and an $8 million policy, a total of 12.
Did you ever have any life insurance on Maggie?
No, never.
Did you ever have any life insurance on Paul?
No.
Alex, will you tell the story about Maggie and your relationship with her?
Okay. So there it is. So let me just understand. Let me sort of regroup I don't even know what I'm trying to do. He's got me all kinds of fucked up. All right. Let me just see if I understand the story here. So the plan was for him to go to detox. And so he called Blanca because he needed his insurance card because he was going to go to detox. So he took some pills, but he gave all the pills to Randy, knowing that he wasn't going to be medically detoxed until Monday. And then he got to thinking, let me call Eddie Smith, who is his pill dealer, according to Alec. But this time, Alec is like, no, Eddie, don't bother to bring me the pills that I'm withdrawing from currently. No, I don't want you to take the edge off. I'd like for you to shoot me. Does that make any sense to any of y'all? I mean, I can see handing over the pills.
Well, he said that he's not sure if he brought the pills. So, I mean, I would assume that he brought.
But he also said he didn't
brought
want
the
to get
pills.
pills from him anymore either.
Well, right.
Like,
after
it's very
that
convoluted
day,
whether he asked him. You know what I mean? Well, why would he need to call Eddie to bring him pills in the first place?
Because he was going to rehab and
Right.
he didn't want his brothers to know.
But wouldn't you, if you are voluntarily handing over your stash, wouldn't you keep a side stash for yourself?
Here's what I'm understanding. All right. Here's what I understood from his thing. So he was discovered for all of this, whatever, and he confessed to having this addiction. And as a result of that, he had agreed with somebody that he's going into rehab on Monday. And today is Saturday. And he said he took a lot of pills because he had given over his pills to his brother. So he had kind of like pre-stashed it in his system. So, and he's saying,
no, he said, that's not what he said. He said, I'm pretty sure he said
I took more,
but nowhere near
than
what I normally take.
Right.
Okay.
So that makes, but he also said I took a lot of pills.
Right. But what I'm saying is, babe, I get that. Like, I understand the theory behind, you're going to go to rehab, right? And they're fixing to take your pills away from you, right? But that it's not going to be until Monday. So what I'm saying is, why call Eddie at all? His brother has it's not like he was getting a prescription, according to Alec, right? So it's not like it's in a pill bottle with a number on it, right? So if he handed the pills over, Randy would have no idea if he gave him all the pills or not, right? And if your intention was to never do pills again, right, why call your drug dealer?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think that's, at least this is what I'm hearing him say.
Okay.
Maybe he's not articulated, but this is what I'm hearing. Like, I'm hearing that in his mind, he's like, all right, I've had it. I'm going to rehab, blah, blah, blah. And he took a bunch of pills thinking I'm going to rehab and I want to delay the withdrawals as long as possible, but I know they're coming. So then he has this meeting. He said, I know they're coming. So that anticipatory, like, oh shit. So once you have that thought, I know it's coming, and you think it's Saturday and you're going on Monday and it's already coming right now, hell yeah, he's going to call Uncle Eddie. Like, what's up? I need something till Monday, And so that's what I was kind of hearing. So it made sense. So now I think that, yeah, he probably got pills to take the edge off, as you say. And then also, if his story is true, like, this is all a big, right? Like,
right. Okay.
But this is what I'm hearing, or this is at least what I'm thinking he's trying to portray. So once he settles down all of his stuff or whatever, and I kind of, if he was in a true addiction, I can see that being the case of having, self-harm thoughts and like wanting it to end, because facing any sort of detoxing or whatever, like from your substance, especially if he's been addicted to it for 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
seems like, yeah, hell no, I'm not doing that,
Yeah.
So I guess I could entertain that idea of like, okay, yeah, he paid a drug dealer to, take his one last high, and he wanted to pay his son out 12 million. Sure, that, that makes sense, quote unquote. Like, I can see that happening. But then everything happens, and then we get the scene, and him
Right.
stabbing the tire, puncturing the tire, and all of that other stuff that doesn't make sense. So I think it's interesting that he leaves that out here.
Right. But here's my
completely.
other point, and this is a good point with that Mrs. Arnold makes. You'll note that he gave the pills to Randy, but no time do you hear Randy destroyed them. In fact, if I'm not mistaken,
I
there's a
mean,
little bit of an implication in there that Randy is going to dole them out in order to keep the edge off.
possibly like wean
This
him
story
off.
this story makes no sense. I'm sorry, it just makes no sense. It just makes no sense. There is nothing. I
Well,
just don't.
addiction isn't necessarily
Well,
like
right. I'm talking about
rational.
like, no, I get it. But what I'm saying is, I don't understand how he went from Eddie hooked me up with some pills to Eddie shoot me. Well, in his mind, what I'm saying is, I understand that you're not in your
I
right
see. So
brain.
you're thinking there's
Yes,
something in between.
something else is going on here.
Gotcha.
That's
Gotcha.
my
Gotcha.
point.
Gotcha.
Sorry, that
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
should have made that very clear. Something
Oh,
else is
yeah.
going on here.
I
This
see.
is nonsense.
Okay. Yeah. I
Hey,
can
Kate,
see.
this is poppycock. I can't. Okay, here we go. And look, even Buster
Oh,
can't.
I
Let me
just
just
have
do
a
this.
question.
Okay,
What is the
go ahead.
significance of the insurance card? Like, why is everyone stuck? Like, why was that a important enough point for him? Obviously, like he mentioned Blanca testifying,
Because
but yeah.
the whole situation surrounding this September 4th shooting, and the reason he didn't take his own life or just take a bunch of pills, because frequently, we all know this, that it's very difficult without a note to determine whether the overdose of somebody who has a long history of pills was accidental or on purpose. Okay. And I mean, there's variables in there, but not all the time. But bottom line is, I think the supposition was that it's maybe his health insurance and his life insurance were with the same carrier, and that he was calling to check to see if he had a murder or if he had a self-harm clause in the life insurance.
Are there records of him calling?
If there are, I don't think they've brought them up. But this is how I feel about this whole story right now.
I can't.
Well, let me tell you something.
Tell me-
Alec certainly does not suffer Andy's no sweat gland condition, because he's shining like a,
Shine bright like a diamond.
crystal ball. Like a mirror, like he's got a forehead mirror or something.
But look at this face. Is there anything about this face? And this is his son, who got up there on that witness stand yesterday, by the way. And was it yesterday? Yes, yesterday, and defended his dad. Is there anything about this face that says that he is buying this bullshit?
No, like I was telling you earlier, Buster
Yes.
has that universal, oh my God, there they go again. Like when your
Right.
parents are lying in front of
When
their friends and
anybody
they're
is
like,
lying.
when your parents are like, or, your dad is like, oh yeah, we totally did that. Like, and you're like, oh my God, he's so full of shit. Like, that's the face. That's the universal my parents are bullshitting right now face.
Right. I don't understand why. See, the thing about detox is, or anything, any procedure, but detox, the first thing that when you call to see about getting into a detox, don't they ask you? I mean, after they ask you your name and shit like that, like maybe the third or fourth question is, do you have insurance? Let me see if we take your insurance. So how are you going to make all of these arrangements to be going to the detoxes, and the last thing you do is get your insurance card?
Well, I think he said that he called his friend or whatever from there and made arrangements. So again, like, it's not like the Murdaughs are ever going to be sitting on customer service phone lines. Like, they got the direct plugs. So
Oh, okay. You think that's what happened? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because that's the type of family that we're dealing with. I mean, their family have been the prosecutors for that county for hundreds of years or whatever.
I mean, you're right. They were direct.
And
I mean,
so it's not like they're
had a
calling.
He had a whole watch party coming over to Moselle after Maggie and Paul were murdered. So, I mean,
sorry
the
for
people
laughing.
that attended this watch party were directing law enforcement. So, I mean, that does speak to some level of entitlement, and that's for sure.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, he had, so a lot of the times when he's talking, I think a lot of that is like assumed, like, we're all supposed to know that he has a guy in Atlanta, Georgia that runs a rehab that he could just call out of the blue. You know what I mean? So, but really it's that entitlement and that prestige and that power that just comes with being a Murdaugh.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if Alec is on a maintenance medication.
I was thinking that too, because if he was, then, but I don't think they do that in jail. I don't think he's on anything now because they don't care what you're on.
No, they don't give a rat's fattening cap. No, they do not.
You're gonna Suboxone on this bologna sandwich. Here you go. and your mattress. Now get the fuck out of here.
Right.
But if he's going there for 7 days, I feel like that's because I don't know, like, if he was put on that medication, like, he would obviously have to maintain that, so
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. And if he was on that medication, then he wouldn't be able to take the pills. But then again, we're all kind of questioning this whole addiction issue in the first place.
Right.
So
I'll say
don't
this.
know.
Do I think he had a problem? Probably a little bit of a problem. Do I think he was spending
He had
$50,000
several,
a week?
a little bit of problems.
Right. But do I think he was spending $50,000 a week when he had access to doctors? No.
This is beautiful.
Right, exactly.
Inside.
I do believe what he's saying
As she
about
was outside.
Maggie too.
And,
I do believe he loved Maggie.
I think he loved
she was
his
so
family.
Adventurous.
Too,
I mean,
at one
you couldn't
point,
tell her
like,
something was good or
correct.
bad. And she wanted to
at one
find out
point.
for herself. She wanted to do it,
Correct.
see it,
Just,
experience it
well, he's got,
on her own and form her own opinion.
Let's skip forward a little bit because I really cannot handle the snot rockets.
She was devoted.
2 times in a row. I really
those
adore
2
everybody
boys
in
bust
chat.
her.
Y'all know I do. And normally I would
Paul,
take one for the team, but
me,
I can't with him.
Sure.
Oh, wait, here we go.
Oh, all right. Let me prepare.
For fuck's sake,
Four.
Ken Lou, get your shit together and learn how to skip correctly.
I'm not sure that.
Was today.
Mr. Waters.
Would you agree that that's an important that police court?
I need a sip.
Oh, yes, you may,
So-
sir.
Murdaugh, I'll start with a few
Please,
things.
the
I think we
court.
can agree on.
You agree that the most important part of your testimony here
Wait,
today.
Please, the court, Daddy.
Espera. Did we or did we not agree, Dr. B, that when you were on my panel and and when we're on each other's panels before we speak, we were going to start doing that? May it please the Jen Lou.
May it please.
I was not addressed properly. I shan't be answering any more questions. No more
May it
commentary.
please the Jen Lou, but
You may.
really, anytime I hear that, I just cannot unhear Mr. Waters saying, "May I please the court, Your Honor, Daddy," and the judge being like, "Come here, you little slut."
You are so bad.
I know.
I'm playing
Well,
this and
I
I'm
did
going
it
for
so
a
bad.
cigarette. I hold you in contempt. All right, I'm playing this. I'll be right back. I gotta have a cig.
Is explaining your lie for a year and a half that you were never down at those kennels at 8:44. Would you agree with that?
I think all of my testimony is important, Mr. Waters.
Would you agree that that's an important part of your testimony?
Sure.
All right. And would you also agree that the first time that law enforcement officers that you've talked to and prosecution and here in open court ever heard you say that you lied about being in the kennels was today in this court?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
You would agree with that?
Yes, sir.
All right. All this time later, this is the first time you've ever said that.
Yes, sir.
And you would agree with me that for years you were stealing money from clients
Yes, sir. I agree with that.
and that you were stealing from your law firm,
Yes, sir. I agree with that.
and that had been going on since at least 2010.
I'm not sure of the exact date, but it's been going on a long time. I'll agree with
All right,
that.
what's your best guess of the date?
I'm not sure. I don't take a dispute with 2010. I just don't know that for sure.
All right, sure about a lot of things, but you don't know that. Is that correct?
I'm fine with that date, Mr. Waters. I don't have any reason to dispute it. I'm just not certain of it.
All right. Let's just keep on things that we may be able to agree about. And let's talk first about your family's legacy here in the legal profession, okay?
So, but anything you do.
Good. Tell me about your great-grandfather. Was he the solicitor for the very
That's
circuit you were
right,
in?
Nadine.
Yes,
You
sir.
can't
And what
go
was his name?
anywhere.
Randolph Murdaugh Sr.
All right. What did he go by? Do you know?
Randolph.
Randolph? And did you ever get to know him, or did he pass before?
Oh, no, sir. He got killed in 1940.
And how long was he solicitor?
20 years.
20 years?
Yes, sir.
And then your grandfather, who was that?
Randolph Murdaugh Jr.
All right. And did he go by, what did he go by?
Buster. That's who Buster is named after.
And was he
My
solicitor?
granddad. Yes, sir. He was the solicitor for 46 years. From 1940, he took over when my great granddaddy got killed, and he served until 1986. He was
Okay.
the longest serving prosecutor in the country.
And you knew him obviously well. He was your grandfather, correct?
Oh, I knew him extremely well and loved him dearly.
Idolized him, did you not?
Yes, you know. I
So he
loved
was the
him
chief
dearly.
prosecutor for all that time as well. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then your father, Mr. Randolph, he became solicitor not long after that. Is that correct?
When my grandfather retired, because you weren't allowed to be solicitor after age 72.
So
my
I'm
dad took
taking
over,
notes, and so far I
filled
got
his
4
unexpired term, and then he
Randolphs.
ran.
And he became the chief prosecutor for this area right here as well.
Yes, sir.
And how long was he solicitor?
From 1986 until 2006.
Come on, do the math
2006.
for
Yes,
us.
sir.
I don't do math.
I actually worked a case
Anyone?
with them about a guy who killed a trooper.
He's a fine man.
Yes, he
And an
was.
excellent lawyer.
Yes, he was. And he was an excellent lawyer, right?
Yes, sir.
That's a big part of your family legacy and your heritage that's so ingrained around here is that history of being the chief prosecutor and being part of the central part of the legal community. Is that correct? Do you agree with that?
That my family's been a central part of the legal community. Yes, sir. I agree with that.
And not only just the central part of the legal community, but the chief prosecutor for this area since 1910, I think, up until 2006,
1920,
1920,
2006, 1910 is when my great grandfather started the law
the
firm.
law firm.
Yes, sir.
All right, so 1920 to 2006, correct?
That's correct.
An unbroken chain of being the chief prosecutor here, correct?
That's correct.
And then you went to law school as well, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And when did you graduate from law school?
1994.
1994. And
Bad
did you ever
year,
become a full-time solicitor?
homie. Bad
No, sir.
year too.
And so you went into private practice, I think, with Moss & Kuhn, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And then you went
1994.
to the former law firm that no longer exists because of your activities, correct?
I started in
Answer my question if you
1994.
would, please, first.
What was your question?
My question was that you started first with Moss & Kuhn. Go ahead and answer that one.
Yes, that's correct.
And then you went to the law firm that doesn't exist anymore, that started in 19, but it doesn't exist anymore because of your activities, correct?
That's correct.
And as part of that, of your practice, you were a trial lawyer, correct?
That's correct.
Successful trial lawyer.
I don't know about your adjective, but I was, I guess so. Yes, sir.
Did you make millions of dollars in legal fees?
Yes, sir.
But you won't tell this jury that's successful.
Well, if that's the criteria, yes, sir, I was successful.
Well, you won cases, correct?
I did win cases.
Settled cases?
Sure, I settled cases.
Heard your former law partner say that you were a successful lawyer?
I did hear some of them say that.
I think you even became president of the Trial Lawyers Association, is that right?
That's correct.
And when was that?
I'm not sure of the exact year, but it would have been in the 2015 range, 2014, 15, 16.
Oh, so after you started
And in
stealing.
that role, you
Right.
were kind of the president of the Association of people who do trial plaintiffs work, right?
Yes, sir.
Who do jury trials, correct?
Well, I
So
mean,
that's
that,
part of it, right?
yes, sir, that's part of it.
It's part of it. Sitting down, looking jurors in the eyes and giving a closing argument. Is that right?
Oh,
Yes.
that's what he's going for. He's gonna tell him
And
he's playing
What kind of
y'all.
cases did you normally do? What just generally what subject matter?
I did all kinds of cases. I did cases that, I handled some very big cases. I had a lot of cases where, somebody, their cable company was billing them $20 more than they should have been. And
Okay. Let me just interject right here. First of all, I want everybody and I want the audience to please appreciate the way Mr. Waters his position on the podium at this point. Casual,
I love
lean. He's doing what we call the lean in and listen. And
that. Please say more.
yes, please tell us more. And for those of you guys in chat who are asking what he's attempting to establish right now, what he's doing is laying the foundation for the long history of power that the Murdaugh family had. Okay. Now, it is my personal opinion that he went way too far today. And this is he just went way too far with the financial stuff, in my opinion. He should have stopped, really. But he didn't. And you're about to see what is the result of that. But he did elicit here at the very beginning some really good, pertinent information. And if you can see my cursor, this gentleman here represents Connor Cook in the boat lawsuit. That's his attorney, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong, so don't hold me to that. But he is an attorney, and I know they do have him up on the lunch hour. Hey, Vincent Smith Senior, by the way.
Chris, I'm gonna look that up. Well,
Yeah, would you look that up for me, please? Because I
gotta figure out
I forgot what his name is.
Randolph, maybe.
No. He's not a Murdaugh. He's not a Murdaugh.
The great grandfather isn't a Murdaugh. Randolph.
Oh my gosh, Jean. Hey, babe. Good to see you. It's been forever. Well, you're going to look up the grandparents first, or you're going to look up this gentleman over here?
No, I don't care about that gentleman. I'm looking at.
Oh, you're going to look up the history of the Murdaugh family. Okay.
Oh yeah, I ain't going down no rabbit holes. I'm trying to focus on this
Okay.
stuff.
I handled everything from that to the big cases and everything in between.
All right. So the big cases, tell me about those. Those were typically plaintiffs' work, all plaintiffs' work, correct? For your big cases?
Running my life.
Yes.
Okay. And plaintiff's work is where, or there would be, say, for example, automobile or truck accidents, correct? Or that some of it?
Every big case I ever had was an automobile No, I mean, no, sir. Not all of them were automobile wrecks.
Were many of them?
Sure.
And if they,
Max,
let's
is
say,
his name?
your
Is it
plaintiff
Roger? Is that
collided
his
with
last
like
name?
a UPS truck or a
Hold on a
tractor
minute.
trailer or
I'm
something like
finna
that.
get to
you've
the
had cases like that,
Googles.
correct?
This is,
I have.
I'm not,
I
it's
got
not
that.
gonna
I
help
got
me.
you.
Correct?
The UPS case
The
that I
great
handled?
grandfather.
Yes, sir.
Hold on, dude.
And
Oh yeah, it's a story. Go ahead.
Yeah. The great grandfather was killed walking down the street by a car. So nothing fancy. He was hit. Oh, shit. Okay, Randolph Murdaugh died when his car was hit by a train as he headed home from a poker game in 1940. Now that's tragic.
Okay, I am right. That is Connor Cook's attorney, and his name is Joe McCullough. Oh, this is a terrible freeze. Bless it. Look at look at Murdaugh's face there. Hi, and that's a very unfortunate pause spot for you. I apologize, Mr. Murdaugh. Not really.
as a part of that, developing those types of cases, you were involved in investigating the facts of the case, correct?
Yes.
And you were involved in gathering, let's say, telemetry data from automobiles, correct?
It was an intentional. Did you say it was intentional that he intentionally got hit by the train? Because that's what he did. The great grandfather, if I'm not mistaken, Dr. B, was in trouble because, yes, he was a solicitor, but he also was helping the booze during Prohibition, the moonshiners and stuff, tipping them off before the raids.
He was coming home from a poker game, so
Yeah, it was intentional. Oh, that's right. Ellie does live there. It was intentional. Yeah, it was a self-harm.
Telemetry data, like you presented in this courtroom this week.
Ah, Gail, thank
You
you
never did
so
that?
much.
I've never had a case specifically
I
where
appreciate that.
the type data that y'all have presented in this case that I've used, but I've had
This
data
is
from
lawyering
automobiles.
right
I've
here.
had
From their, essentially their computer.
OnStar data. I've had data from the black box.
Thank you so
but
much, Gail.
Specifically telemetry data. I don't believe that I've ever had one of those.
But OnStar and black box data, correct?
Okay,
Um,
Ellie doesn't live there. Oh my gosh.
More so the black box event recorder. I mean, many times in a wreck,
Oh my
the
gosh.
event recorder will go back and tell you things leading up to the wreck.
oh, he's probably also trying to
So, and I've been
establish
in numerous cases where
know
those were involved.
what
And
There
you've had
Correct.
cases where cell phone evidence was
so
relevant
therefore
to
he
your
was
case.
able
Sure.
to cover up.
Correct.
Cell logs were relevant to your case?
I have had those.
Cell tower
Well,
location
lots
was
of
relevant to your
folks
case?
were running moonshine
Yes.
JT, but lots of folks weren't the prosecutor for the
Computer
whole last
evidence was
county
relevant to
and
your case?
helping, like tipping
sure
them off
I have,
before the
yes.
raids. He's working both sides of the law.
And when'd you start with the law firm?
August or September of 1998.
And you've been doing essentially that kind of work, more or less, up until September of 2021, correct?
That's correct.
To the point where you rose to be the president of the Trial Lawyers Association.
I was the president of Trial Lawyers Association in around 2015, as we discussed.
So can we agree now on successful?
I mean, by those criteria, I was successful, certainly. I mean, we talked about a lot of my flaws here today, too. Do I feel like I was successful? No, sir. Not sitting here today, I don't. But if you want to use that term and on those criteria, I don't have any problem with you saying at that time, it looked like I was successful.
Do you think people viewed you as a successful lawyer?
I'm sure there were a lot of people that did.
Do you
What,
think
Dr.
people
B?
viewed your family as very prominent?
I believe that there were a lot of people that did. Yes, sir.
And did you think that a lot of people viewed you and your family as very prominent in the legal community here?
I never thought of myself as prominent.
That's not what he asked you.
That way. Let me ask you
At the
this.
time, did I think people viewed me
Yeah.
that way?
Yeah, prior to everything happening.
No, I don't think that I thought people viewed me as prominent. No, sir. I mean, like big shot? No, sir. I don't think that.
I don't think
What about
that's what
family?
prominent means.
That my family thought we were big shots? No, sir. I
People
definitely
view
don't
your
think that.
family as prominent in this community.
Do you know what the
Prominent,
word prominent
as in-
means?
It's not a hard question.
Well, I'm just not sure, I think my family was very well thought of. I think my family
That's
was respected.
prominent.
I think my family helped a lot of people.
I'm not challenging you on any of that. I'm just getting you to agree what seems to be a basic fact. Would you agree with that?
With what? That my family helped a lot of people and was well
Oh,
thought of?
Jesus fuck.
If that's what you mean by that, yes, sir.
And that your family had a very long association with law enforcement.
Yes, sir.
And you had a long association with law enforcement.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, this is where
By,
he's,
by association, I assume you're
Hold on
talking
a
about
second.
friendships. Yeah.
But not only just also professional as well, correct?
As a
Professional
prosecutor,
associations with law enforcement.
as a prosecutor, or as a civil
Let's talk-
attorney.
Okay. let's
how
talk
about as
civil.
just,
Did you have
how about as a
associations with some
human?
civil cases?
Jesus. Okay. This is where now it's two lawyers lawyering back and forth.
Mhm.
That I'll say.
Both triggered.
Both. And I do have to say that I think in this, under these circumstances, in this situation at this moment, and I think it's kind of a blessing in disguise, but I do think that Alec got up underneath Water's skin
Oh yeah.
and it showed. And I think that hopefully tomorrow he will remember what the BC boys say. You need to be as cool as a cucumber and a bowl of hot sauce.
Sure. I mean, as we discussed, a lot of cases that I had were wreck cases or might be a train wreck, or tractor trailer, but there were a lot of highway patrolmen involved. There were a lot of local law enforcement involved. So yeah, we dealt with a lot of law enforcement in the civil practice.
And then you also mentioned that you were a prosecutor as well, correct?
I was a volunteer assistant solicitor.
Did you or your family or your law firm ever have events or parties or social affairs in which the law enforcement community in this area was invited?
I mean, sure, the law firm
I mean,
itself didn't.
I
really
do. I have
sponsor
tons of
things
events
like
and
that.
sponsor
But
events
there
where
would
law
be occasions
enforcement
where
attends.
one of us in the law firm, and certainly we all had a lot of friends in law enforcement, and they were always invited.
Okay. And it's a simple point. You had a lot of friends in law enforcement, your family and you had a long association with the law enforcement community in this circuit. Is that correct?
Association being friendships and working
Well, that
relationships,
makes it look
absolutely.
bad for
What
Slut,
other
too.
kind of
All right, let's talk about
associations
being a
are
prosecutor.
there? I mean, he's literally covered both types of associations, both personally and professionally. So yeah, I mean, although it's interesting to watch two lawyers battle it out. At some points, it's just like, stop lawyering so much. Just dial it back a little bit. You're on a 10. I need you to be on like a 6. Just yes or no. Spit it
Well, I
out.
think it's built up. It's like built up like tension.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause
Oh,
we've been
yeah.
going at it for like what, 20 days
Yes.
or whatever.
More,
And
because of all
you
the
know
pretrial.
how many times Waters objected and was like self-serving whatever testimony or
Right,
whatever
right.
hearsay, self-serving hearsay. If Mr. Murdaugh has something to say, then he can take the stand for himself. And so now it's like,
We got to work on your twang.
you know, like the first 5 minutes after you've been like,
Yes.
so this is like Bubba now when he sees a chicken. Like this is it.
Bless it. I'm still mad at the way that Alec talked about Bubba. I ain't gonna lie. Look,
I love Bubba.
you need to understand how labs are. And something tells me that despite the fact that you've had several, you don't know what it is to have a lab. You don't. The way that you talked about Bubba tells me no. You don't
When did you
know.
become an assistant?
I actually loved hearing about the dog.
became a
There
solicitor
was
when
like
I
a
moved from
great
Houston
hour just
to
talking
here.
about dogs,
So that
and
would
I
have
was
been
like,
September, sometime
yes.
around September 1998. Might have been a little bit after that, but
Yep, that's
sometime.
what I liked. Hey,
Did you get a
Seth.
badge when you came an assistant
No,
solicitor?
I
at
missed
some
that.
point I did, yes, sir.
And who gave that badge?
This is important,
My
y'all.
father,
Mr.
This
Randolph?
part's
yes,
important.
sir.
And over the years, did you prosecute criminal cases, much as what's going on here today?
Yes, sir, at times I did.
And
I believe that I prosecuted from 1998 to 2001. I believe that,
2001? Keep going, I'm sorry.
2021, I'm sorry, until 2021, from 1998, 2021, I believe I was involved in 5 jury, I believe there were 5 trials.
5 trials?
Is the best that I can remember. And
You had-
all with my dad. That was really the purpose of me being assistant solicitor, was get to spend time with him, do things with him.
Sure. And you, 5 jury trials over all that time, but you had a badge that entire time, is that correct?
I had a badge for a big part of that time. Yes, sir.
You actually had 2 badges, right?
I had 1 badge, but when my granddad became an assistant solicitor for my dad, when my dad became the solicitor, he had an assistant solicitor's badge.
Right.
When he passed away, I had his badge, and that was one of, at some point in time, you were asking somebody about 2 badges, and that was the other badge.
I got you. You said you did 5 criminal jury trials as a prosecutor, correct?
Assisted in those, or was doing them, yes, sir. I believe I was actually the lead lawyer in one of them. I helped my dad in the other 4.
Still part of preparing the case?
Yes, sir.
Still part of gathering the evidence and putting it together for trial?
In a criminal case, we didn't do much of the gathering of the evidence. We took what law enforcement had gathered, but
But putting it together for the criminal trial, correct?
yes, sir.
Presenting evidence in court,
Yes, sir.
giving jury argument?
I did the closing argument in one
I
of them,
saw
yes,
him
sir.
taking notes.
Did you ever have any
while
cases that you
operating,
prosecuted that
especially
went
when
short of the
Buster
jury
was
trial, either pled
testifying.
out or
And
or
he was
dismissed for some
taking
reason?
notes like
You
manic.
know, I'm sure that
Yeah, he
at some
was.
point
We
over
were
between
signing up,
1998 and 2021,
preparing.
that
He's preparing to.
He was
I took
preparing.
stand.
He
some
was
plea,
preparing, exactly. Hey,
but
Benny
as we sit here
Blanco.
today, I can't specifically remember that, and I don't ever remember working the case up for trial that didn't go to trial. But I'm sure at some point in time, I was involved in some level on a guilty plea. Or
I'm
guilty
still
pleas.
shook, Brittany.
And you
I'm
agree
still
with me
shook he
that
took the
civil
stand.
system
I
and the
never
criminal
thought
system
this
have
would
a lot of
happen.
differences, right?
A lot of differences and a lot of similarities.
And a lot of similarities, and that's where I was going next. That fundamentally, it's about analyzing the evidence, preparing for trial, presenting that case, and making your argument. to
I
the jury,
can't see
correct?
it if he
That's-
does care in
That's a big part of
Canada.
it.
And would you agree with me that as cases go on, or as you are preparing for trial, that you analyze the evidence that's been gathered by law enforcement and
Hey,
present the
Tia,
evidence
yes, it
that
was.
that supports your case, correct? That's just part of it.
Presenting evidence that you deem favorable for your position.
Yeah. That you analyze the evidence and then you put in the evidence that supports your case. It's an ongoing process. Would you
Yeah,
agree with that?
that's part of what you do.
And same thing in the civil case, right? As you go along, you may have evidence, but you ultimately analyze that evidence, and some evidence makes the cut and some of it does not. Is that fair to say?
As far as what you're trying to, I think
It's a
we
simple
agree on
question.
that.
We would agree on that.
I think so. I'm not exactly sure what your question is, but I think I understand it.
I'm just asking you that as a lawyer
He's trying to
We've been-
read.
since 1994, is that right?
That's correct.
It's a
Hold
simple
on, let me
question. You
pause.
analyze
Let
the
me
evidence.
pause. He's trying to do what, babe?
Oh no, I was just. It's annoying because they're speaking words, but their words have like multiple meanings, so they're
Yes.
communicating on a different level than us, and it's quite boring. It's like
Yes, but this part is, I
look
know
at
it's
Pooch. Pooch perked up. So
babe,
you know,
pooch. The pooch. No pooch. He's no pooch.
I like
P-O-O-C.
Pooch because his
That's
hair
pooch.
looks like I want to, like caress it or something.
Oh my God.
I want to pet his head.
But this part is important.
It's been gathered.
And you
whether
didn't get
civil
to
or
watch
criminal,
this part.
and
So
then present
watch
that
this.
in
This
court.
part is
Is that
important. I promise.
Yes,
All
that's
right.
part of
And
what
that
you
is
do.
an ongoing process as you prepare for a case. Is that correct?
An ongoing process as you prepare in criminal court for civil court.
Either one.
Well, I mean, but there's a distinction because in civil court, you have the deadlines. And so
Okay,
you
crazy
aren't allowed
mom.
to gather
Hold on, miss,
evidence
you coming in,
during
babe.
a trial
Sorry.
or a week before trial.
Good to see
or,
you.
For instance, if this was a civil trial and we found that OnStar data during the 3rd or 4th week of trial, you wouldn't be able to use it because you're past deadlines. But in a criminal case, you are able to use it.
But you would agree that none of that was the fault of anyone on this side of the table, that GM initially responded they had nothing and then responded all of a sudden that they did.
I don't have an opinion, and that's certainly not anything I'm intending to convey.
You talked to this jury a lot about that, but you know nothing about that particular part of it. Is that what you're telling us? You talked to the jury a lot about the GM data, but you're telling me that you're unaware that GM initially responded to law enforcement's timely request and said they didn't have that, but
I
then in the
don't
course
know,
of the trial,
crazy mama.
all of a sudden came up and said, you know
Dr.
what,
B
we
got
found
me all
something, and that's the
flustered
reason why
with
they're right
her.
away. You're saying you don't know anything about that after talking to this jury about
May I
that?
please the
I
Jen
don't know
Lou?
a single thing about that. I know that y'all represented that to the court, and I don't have any reason to doubt it. But I don't.
And you would agree that that's generally consistent with the telemetry data that the FBI did, correct? The OnStar data.
The OnStar, I think the OnStar data and the telemetry data are totally different.
All right, you don't think they're generally consistent with one another. Is that what you're telling this jury?
No, I'm not telling the jury anything about that. I'm just saying, do I think they're consistent? I think the OnStar data tells gives you one set of information, and the telemetry data gives you another set of information.
Benny, what if he used
don't think that's
what if he was riding in the golf cart? Would that change your
I mean,
opinion
you
on
talked
whether
about
he
it with
would
the
be
jury.
physically
I think we're
capable of
struggling on
doing
what
this?
seems to be a fairly simple point. Don't you agree?
I'm just curious.
Mr. Waters, I'm just trying to answer your question.
All right.
And so I'm not trying to be difficult. My understanding of what you're referring to as the telemetry data is when a car goes into park and drive and that sort of thing. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes,
And the GPS information is telling you where a vehicle is on a certain path
correct.
and what direction it's going. So I think that they're two different types of information.
The question was, were they consistent with one another?
I guess so. I don't think they contradict each other.
There you go.
All right. You were the breadwinner for your family, correct? For your immediate family.
Yes.
And that included obviously for Maggie, correct?
I'm sorry?
That included for Maggie, correct?
Absolutely.
And in large measure for Buster and Paul as well. Would you agree with that?
That I was the
The
breadwinner.
primary
in large measure?
breadwinner, yes.
No, I was their source of. I
Oh,
was the
I
source of
watch it
income
live
for
too,
Maggie,
Benny.
Buster, and
Yeah,
Paul.
I do.
Okay.
Me too.
I mean, I guess as they got older, there's some point where Buster had a job, but I mean, I would still consider myself the provider for them at that time.
Again, there's no trick here. I'm just trying to ask a simple question.
Mr. Waters, I don't
Well,
think
he's
that
answering.
was a trick. So,
So you were the primary breadwinner. We can agree on that.
yes,
correct?
sir.
Go ahead. Give me 1 second.
Hey, all the shirts. Good to see you. Hey, Jessica. Good to see you.
All right, I'm gonna show you what's been marked as
Now this is where it's about to get good, and after this is the peak
Recognize this particular item. You can go ahead and
of
take that.
today.
Okay.
All right, sir.
You know what that is?
Yes, sir.
That's 571.
Yes, sir.
All right. And then I'm gonna show you what was in the bag in 570. Can you tell me what that is?
I can.
All right. What is that?
Which one?
570. What is that?
All right. 571 is what I would consider to be my badge.
All right. And then what is this one right here, which is 570?
Okay, 570 would be the one I told you about, was my grandfather's badge after he retired, when he became an assistant for my dad.
Your Honor, this time I'd offer stakes 571 and 570 in the evidence.
Yeah, I admit it.
All right. Where did you keep 570? The one that was your grandfather's?
It didn't have a single place that it was kept.
You know where it was recovered by law enforcement?
No, sir.
Would you dispute if it was recovered out of the Mercedes you were driving on September 4th, the day of the side of the road incident?
No, I believe that.
No, the Elmo, please.
Aries, we got to get to Sarah Boone.
No, please.
We have Sarah Boone and Leticia Stout and the Vallow Daybell trial. We got a long way to Coburger.
And 571, where'd you keep this one?
Usually in my car.
Where in your car?
It could be all of it. Could be on the dash, like you were talking to Mark Ball about. It could be in the center console. It could be in the cup holder. It could be on the seat. Usually in the front seat, but in my car is where I tried to keep it.
All right. And when you had it in your dash, would you have it face up or face down?
I didn't have any particular manner in which I stored it anywhere.
There was no rhyme or reason to it, is what you're telling the jury? How you had it in the dash?
There may be occasions where I had it in the dash for some particular reason, but there were a lot of times where
Hey,
it probably was in the
Daisy.
dash for no
I don't
particular
know.
reason, other than that's where I put it.
I
It's
don't know
like,
why he does any
put
of
it on
the
the
things
seat or
he
in the
does,
cup holder.
Natalie. Oh, we are, Brittany. Yes, we are. I'm ready for it too. I can't
You
wait.
said there were particular reasons why you might put it in the dash. What would those reasons be?
Man, it could
Sorry.
be a number of things. If I'm going somewhere
You're
where
fine,
I want
babe.
somebody to see it,
Good night, Seth.
then I would put it in the dash.
Hey,
If
spaghetti westerns.
there's another reason for somebody to see it, like for instance, if I get pulled over, I might have it in the cup holder so an officer could see it when he walked up.
Why would you do that? Why would you have it in the cup holder? You're not saying you were on official business, are you?
No, I'm not saying I'm on official business.
Why would you want it in a cup holder if you got pulled over?
He's trying to pull one over on you.
Because
What do you think he's
I found that law enforcement
Watch.
oftentimes
And he gets
is
it.
friendlier when you're in law enforcement.
When you're law enforcement. So you considered yourself law enforcement?
Uh-oh.
No, sir, I can't say that I considered myself law enforcement.
So you carried a badge on you as an assistant solicitor for 2 decades roughly?
From around 98, so
Is that
yes, sir, for
correct?
2 decades.
And you would ride with it sometimes sitting in the front dash facing out, correct?
That's correct.
And you would put it in the cup holder so that law enforcement would see you if you got pulled over, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so you didn't consider yourself law enforcement.
I personally didn't consider myself to be law enforcement, no, sir.
All right, so you were just using having this badge to your advantage and taking license with it, is that correct?
Yeah.
I guess in some circumstances that is accurate.
See if you could use it to get away with something, correct? Get better treatment if you got pulled over.
Get better treatment if I got pulled over. I mean, that's probably a fair statement. That, yeah, if somebody in law enforcement saw that, yeah, I'd say that's true.
Oh, this was definitely not the.
Did you have to take an oath when you got that badge?
No, sir.
Against
You didn't?
this from jump.
Not that I remember. I certainly don't recall taking one, like, so going somewhere and raising my hand.
Raise your
and-
hand and saying, I promise to do my duty fairly and with integrity. You never had to do that?
Mr. Waters, if I did, I sure don't recall it. I mean, it was a very informal process when I became a volunteer assistant solicitor for my dad. And then when I continued with Duffy, I mean, at some point,
When you get your,
um,
when
you know,
pass
if I took
bar
any
and
oath
become
at
an
all that I
attorney,
can
don't you
remember,
have
it
to
would
take
be
an oath
on some paper that
as an officer of the court in order
I
to
may have had to sign.
practice?
I don't specifically remember doing that.
All right, well, let's talk about it. Let's go back to 571.
Poot is asking for extra lives on Natchington.
And on the
will
inside
allow
of
the
it,
passing of
what are
the
those
notes.
right there? There's the an ID card with your picture on it.
Yes, sir, that is.
All right, and at the top, on that top, leave it in there if you would, please. Can you not see it?
I can, but I was just gonna see what's on the back. All right, sir.
All right, and it's got your picture on it, got your name on it.
Yes, sir, that does have my picture and my name.
All right. Good. Put that one back. For me,
Acting
please.
like
All right.
Like he's
So you want
reminiscing.
to look at this top one?
Look at the top one.
Okay.
What office does it say that you are on that top one right there? Up here at the top.
State of South Carolina Solicitor, the Solicitor of the 14th Judicial Circuit.
oh
It says
shit.
that I, as Solicitor of the 14th Judicial Circuit, I do hereby certify that, and it has,
Your name.
right? And it has all that data,
What position does it say that you're appointed to?
as the,
I mean, he
okay, it
admitted
says
to
that as Solicitor of the 14th Judicial Circuit,
Hold
I
on.
do
clearly not
certify that
ethical
Richard A. Murdaugh was on.
or really like
Yeah,
a
but
rule follower.
Correct. But this, just wait, be patient. I promise. This
You
is
know
all
I
going
don't do that. I
I
jump to
know.
conclusions
I know
and
that
then
you do. I know.
pull
And then I
myself
have
out.
to reel your ass back in all the days. And this is me getting ahead of the jump and saying, no, 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 don't jump yet.
Fine. Oh my God, they're gonna. Okay.
Okay,
I'm ready.
okay. Yes.
On July 1st, 2013, appointed as the Deputy Solicitor of Allendale, Beaufort, Colleton,
Let
Hampton, and
Alec
Jasper
prove
County,
to everybody
in
he's
and is
literate.
authorized to
He
enforce the
can
laws
read.
in the 14th Judicial Circuit of South Carolina.
Whose
All
looks
about
like
this.
Yoda?
Yes, sir. Signed by Duffy Stone.
Signed by Duffy Stone, so deputy solicitor, is that correct?
Let's
I was
address
never a
this
deputy
real
solicitor.
quick because this is funny to me. Where is that comment? Okay, he does look like Yoda, but not not the Yoda from like Return of the Jedi. Not that Yoda. The mean Yoda. The one that didn't that was messing with him in the swamp, you know, that was teasing Luke and wouldn't tell him he was Yoda at first. The mean Yoda. That's who the Poot reminds me of. Not the chill. Okay, a Jedi you are. All that. No, not that. No, that yeah. That's who he is. Mhm.
Solicitor.
I agree.
That's what that says, but I've never been a deputy solicitor. Unless deputy solicitor is, I was a volunteer assistant solicitor. And as far as I know, Sean Thornton has been the only deputy solicitor that Duffy Stone had.
And it's a simple point. It says deputy solicitor, but deputy solicitor is a higher rank than assistant solicitor, correct?
Wow.
To your understanding?
That's what I think.
Yeah.
And that was Sean Thornton. I've never been deputy solicitor, even though that does say that.
All right.
I agree with And that was signed by Duffy Stone, not by me.
I understand. This is what was given to you.
That's what was given to me.
I went through this whole long thing at the beginning about whether or not you had an association with the law enforcement community, but this was given to you not by your father, but by a successor, correct?
Well, no, sir. I believe we got to this because you were asking me if I took an oath, and I don't remember taking an oath. And then you started asking me about these things.
Okay. And you agree that this card says deputy solicitor, right?
I agree that card says deputy solicitor.
All right. Would you agree with me that it says on the back that it is reposing special trust and confidence in your ability, care, prudence, and integrity? Is that what it says on the back of this?
I mean, if you're, no, sir. I mean, I trust if you're reading that off the back of that, I assume that it does.
Yes, Vincent's as the Empire Yoda. Empire Strikes Back Yoda.
Well, Poot and Griffin are having a
You were reading off of the
comedy
one that,
show.
the one that
Look.
Duffy Stone gave me, correct?
Statler
the one at the
scoots
top, where's that
closer
one?
to Waldorf.
You want me to bring it back to you?
No, sir. I think I
Look,
can
now
see
they're
it.
telling
That
It's
would
not
be.
focused very well.
That's okay. I mean, I know what it is. I looked at it when you handed it to me. So the card on the bottom is what I got from Duffy Stone. The one on the top, and the one on the top should give you a better. There we go. All right. So the one on the top was what came from my dad when he was solicitor. The one on the bottom is what came from Duffy Stone when he was solicitor.
Putting him at ease will be promise. If
And Duffy Stone took
be
over
patient. Look
after
at the
my
poop.
dad retired in 2006.
Statler
Duffy
and
Stone
Waldorf over here
filled
conspiring.
my dad's unexpired,
Yes.
the rest of his unexpired 4-year term,
I
much
told
like
you.
my dad filled my
I'm gonna
granddad.
tell you
So,
what
and
they're
then Duffy,
saying. I told you. Look at the poop. I told y'all this was a bad idea. And Jim Griffin says, "I know," and the poop's all, "I know." They know.
he became the solicitor.
And
Did you ever have
Alec's
lights in
like,
your vehicle?
my name's Jeff.
My name is him.
In the particular vehicle?
No, in any vehicle.
Yes, sir, I did.
Was that a government vehicle?
No, sir, it was not.
When did you have lights, like blue lights and stuff?
Yes, sir, I had some blue lights.
When did you have blue lights? And let me remember, you did 5 cases over 20 years, and you had blue lights in your vehicle, but it was your private vehicle, correct?
Well, it was the vehicle that I drove. It was a law firm owned
The
vehicle.
law firm's own vehicle. So how'd you get blue lights in there?
I had them installed.
And who installed them?
I believe that Eddie Gibson installed them.
And who was that?
He's the guy who apparently does blue light work for most of the sheriff departments in the
Oh,
14th
I
Circuit.
thought
and
you
a
were
lot
going
of
to
the
say
police
Kmart, the blue light special. Y'all, I understand that this. I get where this is frustrating. It's annoying, and it seems like it doesn't. It's there for no reason. But what you guys have to remember is the jury just the day before heard all this testimony about how SLED messed up the crime scene, and Mr. Ball, when he told that jury that they left part of Paul's skull out at Moselle, that was compelling testimony. If I remember it, the jury damn sure remembers it. Okay. So what he's trying to do is overcome all of that by laying this foundation of he had a relationship with those in law, with people in law enforcement. And it was because of that he was given preferential treatment the night of June 7th. And it was to the detriment of the case, because it was that whole place. Nobody should have been allowed in. There shouldn't have been a powwow in the gun room at all. That everything should have been declared a crime scene, and there shouldn't have been anybody allowed up in that driveway near the kennels. None of that should have happened. But he's got to overcome that, and the way he's decided to do it is to lay this foundation to explain that for all intents and purposes, Alec and law enforcement regarded each other as on the same level. Even though Alec doesn't want to come right out and say that directly, that's exactly what those badges mean. And that's what it is.
Well,
It's
right.
annoying.
But at the same time, doesn't that then, like, I don't see how that would work in the prosecution's favor, because I can see it going both ways. Like,
Well,
so,
right. What
you
he's
know,
gonna
if we're buddy buddy with Sled and that's why they were slacking, and look at Alec and his character and what he's doing and using a 100-year-old badge and whatever, then I
Mhm.
can only imagine what his buddies in law enforcement are doing. So like it's you know, so I'm
It's a
wondering,
double-edged sword, and if he doesn't, if he goes
they're
too
gonna
off
make
in the
room for
weeds,
reasonable doubt.
correct. He's got to be very, 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 very careful about how he does this.
And I'm like, I'm of the, like, you know, if law enforcement mess up, then, you know, like, it's flawed from the beginning. So it's almost like you
It's
have to kind
difficult.
of, yeah,
It's
very
difficult.
difficult.
This is going to
And
be a difficult. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to click that. This is going to be a difficult come around for reals.
I mean, yeah,
This is going to be a difficult overcome. Very.
And did
difficult.
when did you have that
oh,
installed?
sorry,
Recall?
last question.
Was it
Okay.
one vehicle or more than one? Let's start with that.
I mean, it's probably not going to be the last. Sorry, that's totally my fault.
No,
It's
you're
probably
fine.
not going to
I
be the
did it.
last question. I totally lied. Whoops.
That would not
I
be-
pulled the Alec.
And I specifically noted,
Shit. Now I don't
As
remember
the-
where was that. Oh wait.
that is
There,
accurate.
he's looking at the badges. Oh, wait till the pooch moves over. So go
Yeah,
forward.
that's what I've got to do.
Looked at it when you handed
The poot.
Hey, just whatever.
I'll show you what's been marked
English is my
as
second
stage
language.
569. And you recognize
know.
personal like that?
Did I hang it out in my pocket?
Oh, here we go. This is where it's about to get good.
I'll show you what's been marked.
All right. All right. Now, what were you going to say? Your other question?
Oh, well, shit. Now I
You forgot? All right. I'm going to push play, and I bet it'll come to you. But let me just go back a teeny tiny bit.
Capacity?
No,
Yes.
I want to see this.
No, sir.
Hold on. This is the part I want you to see.
Oh. The night of the,
Hold on.
And
but I'm happy to call him Rogan, and I'm happy to call.
Oh, no. I want this part to play because I called this out
And-
earlier today.
this jury, of course, has heard multiple recorded statements of you during and
Boat case.
Okay.
But when I think about the boat case, I think about the charges that y'all brought against Paw Paw.
okay.
So, but there also the civil case.
Paul, that was your nickname for Paul?
I mean, I called him Paw Paw. Maggie called him Paw Paw. Bus calls him Paw Paw.
Sure.
Roro calls him Paw Paw. I mean, that's
Roro. Who was Roro?
That's Rogan Gibson.
Okay. And this jury, of course, has heard multiple recorded statements of you during the course of this. Did you ever refer to Paul as Paw Paw during that?
I don't know
Do you recall?
how I referred to I can say Paul if you prefer that.
No, you can call him whatever you want. I'm just asking you if you ever called him that during the course of that entire investigation, or is that also the first time today, at least publicly?
Is today the first time I've called my son Paw Paw? No, sir, that is not correct.
Have you ever called him that on all the recorded statements that this jury has heard?
I don't know.
You ever called Rogan Roro?
I
And
call
all
him
the
Rogan
recorded statements.
all the time.
In the recorded statements, did you ever call?
I do think
I
he
don't
does
know.
call
I
him
mean, I
that
called
once.
him Rogan also, so I don't know.
I do think he called Rogan
But
Roro
I'm happy to
once.
call him Rogan, and I'm happy to call Paul
It's
Paul.
not the point, Alec.
All right. Well, let's talk about, and I'll be specific with the boat race wreck criminal case and the boat wreck civil case. Okay. Is
Yes,
that
sir.
fair?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Here comes criminality talking
And-
about, I thought Alex did a good job.
We've talked a little
I mean,
bit about
he
your
really put on a
badge. Did you
show,
have your
I'm
badge
not
with you
gonna
on the
I
night
mean, if you
of the
mean
boat
he
wreck?
did a good job as
That's
he
what
put
I'm
on a
saying.
show,
Like, that's what
then
I'm
yes.
saying. Like, for the
On the night of
jury,
the-
like,
on the
that's
night
what I
of the boat
mean.
race.
For like a representative sample of like little Hampton County that's got all this stuff going on, and this whole, you know, it's like a what do you call those? Like a telenovela. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you can totally get sucked into this world, and if you have, and which a lot of people have testified that a lot of people in the county of Hampton have benefited from the Murdaughs in a lot of these cases and whatnot, you know, so they're kind of really like the people's, like Robin Hood kind of stuff, like, you know.
well,
So I think, you know, there might be that, you know, portion of the population, I guess, who are like, yeah, he killed it, man. Like, he's really like one of the guys, like, you know, he's good boy or whatever they call themselves. So I can
just
see
think
where,
that anytime you have your client get up there on the stand to explain away that he, first of all, I think everybody agrees that he clearly lied about the kennel video. That's not the issue. It was the explanation of the kennel video. He never, he lied because he was paranoid of the popo, as if he wasn't friends with law enforcement. That's the problem.
right, well, it's not really if he's saying he was having paranoid thoughts, because the whole thing about paranoid thoughts is a fixed false belief. So it actually does make sense.
But okay.
So I don't know.
I think you're okay. I'm just
Did I have it with me?
Yeah.
When?
Did you go to the hospital that night?
I did go to hospital that night.
Did you have it?
okay, but here's the thing, Dr. B. If he were the word paranoid, I don't actually think he meant paranoid, because I really think that was a bad choice of words. But if you're paranoid of law enforcement, would you invite law enforcement into your home and give them carte blanche to do all the things?
Well, I mean, if he's trying to say he's innocent, then yeah.
If you're paranoid, you would do that?
Well, I mean, he could, because that's the thing. Like, he was describing, he used paranoid, and he was describing, obviously, like, he would call them paranoid thoughts, and they're almost like delusional, right? Because
Right.
that's what paranoia is. It's a delusion.
Okay.
So,
I'm following.
and it usually kind of has a kernel of truth in it, right? So who knows what his paranoia was centered around? That's where the questioning didn't go. So he didn't ask him, what were you paranoid about? You know, like that it didn't go that far. So I can't answer that question. But if he
Right.
was to ask him, like, why were you paranoid? You know, then if he was to say, well, I know from my experience of being a lawyer that I would be the suspect. And I know that I have all these financial crimes and everything. And so I didn't want to be discovered. So I lied because I knew that I didn't do it. And I just didn't want them to hone in on the stupid kennel video for 2 years like they have. You know, like, get out of it.
I
You're
get
a
what you
lawyer.
mean. So your argument is that it makes sense because he, in his capacity as being having intimate knowledge,
Right.
intimate knowledge of how law enforcement works.
Yeah,
He knew that
that's
he
all
was
he
going to
thinks.
be
I
the
mean,
first. He was going to be the first person that they that they
exactly.
suspected, and that
Yes,
they wouldn't
because
get
even
past
in the
the kennel video and have tunnel vision to the exclusion of finding the
exactly.
real killer. That's
Exactly.
what,
And
okay.
and even in the like, and we can see his thinking, like just the way that he thinks in general. Like, he has to break everything down. Like, he's thinking in a lawyer way, to where everything has a foundation, and that foundation has a foundation. So before he can answer a simple yes or no question, he has to first tell you how Chris Wilson's partner's wife is wanting his financial records
I mean,
for
you're
you
not
to
wrong.
understand that he knew that Chris Wilson wouldn't give that out. So that's kind of how he thinks. He's really linear in that way. And so yeah, that's really where I put a period. I don't know why I keep saying so.
I mean, I'm going to have to, I'm not going to argue, because I know there are parts of what you're saying that I agree with. Most of it is what I do agree with. But now I'm going to have to try to apply what you said, and now watch Alec's testimony with from that lens, and see if I feel a little bit different. You know what I mean? I mean, you are making sense. I believe you. I think you're right. I think that I just get annoyed. I don't like thieves. And I have to admit that there is a lot on my part of
that's emotional.
biased against Alec because of the stealing. That I'm, but I know that rationally that's not appropriate. It's a long way between stealing and murder, especially your own family. And just
Right.
because you'll break the law, like by taking prescription medication that you're not prescribed, right? By buying drugs off the street or even stealing does not mean that you'll do the highest crime, which is murder, especially of your family. So I'm going to
And
watch this with a different lens and see
so
if I feel differently.
yeah, and even with the financial crimes, right? So he's already like admitted to it. He's gonna do prison time. So he's trying to portray like, okay, he's taking accountability, and he's trying to say like, when he's confronted, he admits to it, and there's nothing, I guess, that we've heard so far that would say different. Like, I mean, he's lied until the point to where he couldn't lie anymore, and then at least his family, he made up this whatever
Right.
story that he thinks he's going with. But this whole time, like, he's constantly laying those foundations, which is why I think that it wouldn't even be who said it here, 1 second, I saw a comment here that someone said something about reasonable doubt. Yeah, there's assholes on both sides, so that in itself like creates reasonable doubt. I kind of agree with that, because again, like, you can look at it from both of those sides. And shit, I lost my train of thought.
I mean,
I saw a shiny object.
I'm going to be more objective,
It'll
because I
come
do
back
think
to
that
me.
I know for a fact that I have bias. I don't like a thief, and the truth is, I'm finding it very difficult to believe him because I know him to be a liar. He admitted he's a liar.
Yes,
That's
yes.
problematic for me. So
But here's where thank you for putting me back on that train.
Okay.
So here's where he's going with that. So he's now going with the whole psychology of, because again, he's thinking lawyer-esque, and he knows that one thing that doesn't fly with the jury or a judge is someone who's minimizing their crime. And
okay, well then we got to get to more of
he's
the
got he's doing
cross-examination.
the remorse, and he's doing the whole, I have remorse and I am taking accountability. So he's not going to minimize any of that. So right now, the prosecution has free reign to assassinate his character if they want. And unless he's going to stick with, no, I didn't do it, he's going to own it. So that's where the interesting part is now, because I think the prosecutor is trying to create this kind of like, well, you don't know what I have, and like, I'm gonna,
Right.
there's a hook somewhere. So he's trying to get him confused, and like, he's trying to get Alex's mind to start racing about what does he have? How am I going to explain? Like, he wants to get him flustered. So really, it's just a mind game. But as far as like the evidence, at the end of the day, when the jury goes back with just the evidence, and all of this kind of just out of their minds already,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna still have
And I
that
also
they had
think,
assholes on both sides.
right. And I also
So,
think this, I thought about this at the end of the day today, at the end of trial or court. I thought about it, and I thought to myself, why would he get up on that stand and so freely admit to really what Jim Griffin was trying to keep out, was the questions about the
exactly.
financial crimes. And you know what I reasoned out?
What?
I think he recognizes that first, he's very, very likely, and really after today, is going to be convicted of the financial crimes.
Ineffective counsel.
No, I think he's going to go. I think when he goes to trial for the financial crimes, he's going to be convicted, and he's got a ton of counts, enough counts that even if he were found guilty on half of them, he would likely die behind prison. He's not like a super young man. You know what I mean? And not built for prison either. So, but now I think it's for him, it becomes a question of where he does his time. Is he going to do his
he would go to the feds?
Correct. That's what I'm
Any
thinking.
day.
Like, is right. I think this was a calculated risk. Do I do my time in the murderer's prison or the federal prison? That's what I think this is really about. That's what I think.
That's a good point as well. Totally could be it. But whatever is happening right now, Alec is aware that he's got a 50-50 shot. and he's putting on his best show, his best
Right.
face, all the lawyering that he's done. And now he's got his 950 days of no opiates. But, you know, he's got his little pooch. Look at Pooch. He looks like a mad 2-year-old. Like, I'm
He is mad. He is mad. Wait till
Listen,
we get
Linda,
to that. Wait till we get to the financial part. The part that I only wanted to hear, I wanted you guys to hear this boat case part, because this goes to my point of why he's asking these questions. And then we'll skip forward a little bit and we'll.
sorry. I keep
No,
talking.
you're fine.
I'm
no,
like
babe, you're fine.
in
That's
full
what we're up here
discussion
to
mode.
do. No, that's what we're up here to do.
But
We
yes,
need
let's
to
watch it.
discuss. But I want you to
I will
watch this
mute.
part, and then I want you to tell me what you think. I'll be right back. Okay.
With you then?
I don't know, but I don't believe so, but I really
You
don't
don't
know.
believe so?
But
When you went to the hospital on the night of the boat wreck, were you acting in any official capacity?
the night of when I went to the hospital, was I in an official capacity?
Yes.
No, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, why didn't they object? He looked at his people like, what? Can't they, like... Poot's like, I give up.
I'll show you what's been marked as States 569. And do you recognize the person on the right in that image?
No, sir.
You don't recognize that?
I don't recognize him.
No, I'm asking about that.
Oh, me?
Is that you?
Yeah, it looks like me.
All right. What's hanging out of your pocket in plain view?
Looks like a badge.
You didn't recall that until I just showed you that picture?
No, sir, I did not.
Your Honor, it all for States 569 in the evidence.
Okay. Submit it.
That's you in the white shirt, is that right?
Yes, sir, it is.
And this is the badge hanging out your pocket? You remember which, is that correct?
Looks to be, yes, sir.
Which badge is that? Which one of the two, do you remember?
Nah, you can't tell from here.
Okay. Why'd you have it hanging out of your pocket like that?
I don't remember having that. No, I don't know.
You don't
Right,
remember that.
are they prosecuting
I
Paul?
don't remember that. No, sir.
Did you generally walk around with your badge hanging out your pocket?
Generally speaking, no, sir, I did not.
Or only when you wanted some advantage from it?
Did I
want some advantage from wearing it like that?
hang it out in my pocket when I wanted an advantage?
Yes.
I may have. I certainly may have.
What advantage did you want?
Nice.
When?
Then?
I don't even recall this, Mr. Waters, but if I was wanting some advantage, as you say it, I guess, and I don't remember this, but I guess I would want, as I
Talk to
said,
the
a
people.
badge has a warming effect with other law enforcement. And so if I was seeking any advantage, as you say, then I guess that would be what it was.
Information.
Do you ever want to be the solicitor?
Yeah, there was a time period where I did.
Did you ever want to be the solicitor?
Yeah,
The
there
elected
was,
solicitor?
there was a time period when I absolutely did.
When was that?
Prior to my dad retiring.
Prior to 2006?
Yes, sir.
How long did you explore that?
I mean, I wanted to be a solicitor for a long time, but, at the time when my dad retired, I was already struggling with pills, and I knew I couldn't do it.
In 2006?
Yes, sir.
And we'll talk more about the pills in a bit, but you say you already struggling with pills in 2006, correct?
That's correct.
But over that next 15 years, you still were able to maintain a lucrative law practice. Would you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
And you've already testified that all your law partners had no idea of this pill problem that you had all that time, correct?
I'm testifying that I believe, in fact, I'm certain that none of my partners knew.
You remember going to do that?
Yes.
And was your badge hanging out when you did that as well?
I wouldn't think so, Mr. Waters, but like I say, I don't think so.
All right. So it just comes naturally to put your badge out when something like this that you don't even remember why you did that.
No, I don't even remember having my badge. And I specifically know that I didn't use the badge. Did I mean to do this? I'm not saying that I didn't, but I don't know if I was putting it in my pocket and the flap, you notice that flap is not Velcro down. I don't know. I don't have a specific memory of that. And I never went around, acting like I was on official business.
So you're
So-
saying it might be an accident that your badge was hanging out there?
I'm saying that I have no memory of that whatsoever.
All right, well, you never use these badges as like a wallet, right?
No, I did.
You did?
I did.
So you're saying you had your credit cards and all your stuff in there?
No, sir. No, sir. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that on that night. You just asked me if I ever used it as a wallet, and there were times when I used it as a wallet.
You used it as a wallet that night?
I don't remember, but I don't think so. I didn't use it as a wallet very often, and I didn't use it as a wallet for very long when I did use it as a wallet.
So let's see if we can get back to what we agree on. So you would agree that you had to make a conscious decision to grab that badge.
Yeah, this is messed up. It's not going to get better from here because this is going to devolve into an argument, but it's an important one. And I just want it, it's almost over, this part.
And when you went into the hospital, correct? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, at some point I had to make a conscious decision to pick it up.
But you're saying you don't know if you hung it out like that on purpose while you're talking to that law enforcement officer, or if it's just an accident that it's hanging out of your pocket in full view of everyone.
Well, I am saying that because that is not how I would normally carry a badge. And even if I wanted to give somebody an impression, to me, that's got kind of an obnoxious look to it. That is not something that, that's not something I would typically do. But I may have done it that night. I have no memory of that.
Okay. All right. So you're saying that just could be an accident that it's hanging out like that?
I'm saying it could be, or I could have put it there like that.
All right.
I don't remember.
Did you generally just walk around with it in your pocket? Or would you only carry it when you wanted to use it for something?
No, I wouldn't generally carry it around in my pocket just any time.
Okay. All right. So we got the badge that may be accidentally hanging out of your pocket.
Oh,
You
he
won't
can't
see that
throw
you did
him
that
off
purposefully.
balance. There's no way.
I mean, Mr. Waters, if you want me to say I did that on purpose, I don't have a problem with that. I'm saying I don't remember that. All right. So can I tell you that I did that on purpose? No, sir, I can't. Can I say that this happened by accident? No, sir, I can't. What I can say is I don't remember it,
Isn't
and
this
that's
like
not.
asked and answered already? Like, let's go.
I mean, look, here's the problem. Here's the point of all of this. He did get, this was an important part, and he did get an important admission out of Alec. He got an admission that he uses that badge to have as a warming effect to other law enforcement. The
Right.
reason that
I
he
mean,
was there that
okay.
night is because his son was drunker than Cooter Brown, wrecked the boat that killed a girl.
Okay,
And
but
what he
we're
was
not
doing-
there for the boat case. And I think,
I agree, but I'm telling you what he's doing.
I know, and I think that's the part of the small town politics. They're like, oh yeah, let's resolve this boat case now. Everyone's like, grab your popcorn. Like, no, why are we listening to him trying to influence witnesses in a whole other different criminal case that has been dismissed because the accused is no longer alive, and now they're just civil lawsuits. So basically, like, are they gathering information for the civil suits? Like,
Well, this is my thing. This is what I think
like,
is happening.
I want to
here, and
hear about June 7th.
I do
right?
too. But
Like,
I do too. But remember, you have to keep in mind, Dr. B, that they have what is a circumstantial case. There is no direct evidence, and most juries don't understand how that can be, and they sort of regard it as weaker evidence, even though it's not always. And what it goes to is this: he decided to get up there and tell his story, and the cross-examiner has got to attack his character and his credibility. What he's doing here is showing his character in that he is manipulative, and he uses his position in the community to his advantage when it suits him. And as we get a little further into it, and they go into some of these financial crimes that he readily admits to, but wait until you hear him minimize it. He calls it loans when it is fucking stealing. When you say out of your own mouth, did I have permission to take it? No. Was I wrong for taking it? Yes, it was a loan. He does minimize.
right, but
But
again,
it's
like,
a fine line.
He's already admitted, like he said, okay, yeah, I maybe put it there because it has a warming effect. Okay, so you admit that you like, okay, we get the picture. Like, I just think it's like drawn out.
I think it is a little drawn out. I think that
And
Waters
this
needs
is
to
two
do
egos now going
a
at it.
right.
That's
And
why I'm
I think there's
annoyed
some ego
because
going on the part of Mr. Waters because first of all, Alec is an attorney, right? So it would be sort of they took the same, I guess, oath, right? About that they would represent their clients, yada, 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 and all the things. And what Alec did was he manipulated and he betrayed his clients. And they were regular, average, everyday citizens. Okay. It's not like he ripped off the CEO of Walmart or something. You know what I mean? He ripped off people who were waiting for their settlement checks, who needed that money because they were on workers' comp, and workers' comp only pays a third. Some of them didn't even get workers' comp because they were automobile accidents and they weren't on the job, and yet they were out of work. And the problem with Alec is he is a charmer. He can be this is a different loan. Just wait till they get into it, Teresa. Anyway, he took advantage of a great deal of many people who trusted him because he was in a position of trust and he was in a position of power. And then when his son drove that boat drunker than Cooter Brown, the Murdaugh family converged on that hospital and did everything in their power to shut it down so that they tried to blame it all on Connor Cook. He's the kid with the broken jaw. They thwarted any law enforcement attempts to speak to the other passengers in the boat by telling them that Alec represented them when he didn't. It was, but it's a fine line. And if he does not dial it, if he goes too deep or too far off into the woods or weeds, he's going to lose this jury just like he's lost you.
oh yeah, he's lost me like 10 minutes ago.
He's got to
And
streamline this.
I was excited about it too. So that's maybe, like I'm kind of disappointed because like I think I don't know if excuse me, he like in his head kind of like and I get it. It's in his head. It's probably like going in slow motion, and he's like probably like because Alex like, yeah, maybe I did it on purpose to benefit from it. Yeah, I admit it. I'm just saying I don't remember, and that's the legal like. It's like you can't like the legal shield basically like. He'll say maybe I did it, maybe I didn't. I don't know. I don't remember. And they can just run in circles until next year.
Right.
So
he definitely needs to streamline. I agree with you. He definitely tomorrow when he gets a second crack at it, he needs to streamline it. The jury wants to hear about the murder. They want the cross-examination to be about the murder. I think that at this point, he's laid the foundation well enough as far as character goes. And I agree, Teresa, and I said this earlier, and I've said this the whole time, that him being a liar and a thief does not equal that he is a murderer. The two are not synonymous. Just because you will commit one type of crime doesn't mean you'll commit the ultimate crime. And I get that. But
also he's yet to face the whole financial crimes thing. And I think that what's more powerful for me if I was a juror in terms of Alec's character and how low he's willing to go was after hearing the testimony of the son of the lady who
Tony Satterfield.
Yes. So that was powerful and compelling testimony for me. And obviously, that would be something I would consider is like, how could you do this to them? So he kind of puts that in perspective for me, And so that for me is like, okay, he admitted to it. Now you've got him admitting to this bad stuff. Like, we're establishing a pattern. I think he admitted to lying to law enforcement, that he admitted to setting up a fake shooting. Like, this guy's a fraud. He's a,
Right.
white collar criminal. Like, I think that is well established. What is not well established is, did he pull both triggers, one trigger, no trigger? Were there other people? That is not clear. I know that he's a liar. I just don't know that the case that they've put together is without a reasonable doubt for
Right.
both.
I got you.
So,
I got what you're saying.
I have to lay my foundations.
I know you do. I know you do.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a reformed addict. You're always a recovering addict. Are you there?
I was
Oh.
reading chat. Sorry. Yes, I'm agreeing with you.
Oh, no. I'm wondering because Alec's on pause and then you got quiet. I'm like, did I
No, I was listening to you, and
I lose internet?
no. I'm trying to. I'm taking it all in. I really am. I really am.
Sorry.
I just feel like I'm listening to it all, and I'm taking it all in because you're making me think, which you know that I love, and
I love making people think.
Oh yeah,
That's like the
I
best
love
compliment.
to think, and you're making me think. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to change my mind because you know how stubborn I can be, but you are making me think about some things. Let's continue.
Yeah, and I
while
love
think.
timelines.
Yes, I know you
your
do.
bitch over here love timelines, and I got that timeline. I found that PDF, and I
Yes, you
started
did.
studying it. And they do have everything that they've presented, and it also does not match with Alec's story.
Right.
And of course, he would know how to cover up, how to leave his phone at, you know what I mean? Like, that's not rocket science. So he would know how to cover it up. So now it's that, like, okay, so did he really, again, it's not enough, like, with the reasonable doubt bit. But let me shut up now for real, because I really want to hear what's
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. I'm playing. Is everybody in the chat cool? Listen, you guys, I want you to, let me just say this. Okay. The one thing that I like about my channel and my chat is, for the most part, I mean, there's been a few times, but generally speaking, we can all have our own opinion. We can all disagree, but at the end of the day, let's keep it in perspective. Okay. Yes, we all want justice for crime victims. And in this situation, Paul and Maggie are the victims. And regardless of everything else, they're the victims and they deserve justice. Whatever Paul did with respect to the boat accident and what he was charged with and what he could have been facing was prison time, not capital punishment. So they are getting lost in the mix of this, and we do need to get to the actual June 7th. That is important, and I have a very strong feeling that we are going to get there tomorrow. I don't think that there's going to be much more of the financial stuff, but as far as
for sure goes, because I think the prosecution is going to look at this now, obviously, like they're going to study it and they're going to put their heads together and think tank about like what they did good, what they did bad. And I think tomorrow it's going to be like straight to the point and cutthroat. But at the same time, don't forget, Alec's doing the same thing. So
correct.
he's doing the same thing. So we might end up somewhere in some rabbit hole, wormhole tomorrow again too. But we'll see it we'll see it manifest in a different way. Tomorrow we might get stuck on the cell towers.
Who
for
knows
like
what we'll get
800
stuck on?
years.
We will definitely be somewhere in the weeds tomorrow. I can almost guarantee it because I know how my brain works.
Yeah.
But what I want everybody to remember is keep it in perspective, you guys. At the end of the
Absolutely.
day, this trial is it does affect Alec, obviously. He's the one on trial for murder. None of us are. Okay. So let's all be nice to one another and respectfully disagree in the chat. Okay. Please. All right. Let's push play and hear what is coming up
How
next.
I would normally, that's just not how I would normally, you know, that's just not, that's not something I did. That's not a normal thing. So I don't know.
Okay, all right, that's fine. You
But-
concede to this jury that there was any intention or purpose to you doing that at the hospital on the night of the boat wreck.
I'm saying I don't remember using that badge. And I specifically remember, you know, I'm sorry, go ahead. You can ask
You
that
specifically remember what?
that I, like when I went into the room with the kids, did I pull my badge out? And I know that I did not do that.
No, because it was on your pocket like that, correct?
It's on my pocket like that right then.
Did you use that to get into areas that shouldn't be accessed by non-official personnel?
Absolutely not. I mean, there was nowhere that I went that,
See, now he could have said, yeah,
was
I
not
did. I went to go snatch some morphine
truly
or
public
some
domain.
oxys. I was in a
I mean,
hospital.
basically the places
Like,
that I went to were,
I used that
when I got there, I
badge
went to
get a
Pawpaw.
hold of the
When I left
controlled
Pawpaw, I went to Morgan
substances. What
Dowdy,
do you mean,
who was
hey?
like a daughter to Maggie and I, had dated Paul for a long time. And I went to Morgan. Morgan had an injury to her hand that was bad. She was very upset about Mallory. And they were working on her, so I left her room. I went back to Pawpaw. At some point in time, I noted I went to Connor's room, and I believe those are the only rooms I went to. But again, I can't tell you that with certainty.
While you're wearing that badge like that, did you tell any of the kids who were in the boat wreck not to
I don't
cooperate
want
with law
numbers like that.
I never told anybody not to
oh, we
cooperate
can handle it. We
with
got
law enforcement.
Schmida. What
Whether
you mean?
I had a
Hey,
badge hanging
Schmida's
out my
our
pants,
manager.
didn't have a badge.
Right, but I don't want the chat to
Any
be
point in
left
time
civil.
did I tell anybody, don't cooperate with law
I
enforcement.
want the chat
Did you
to
become
be
aware in
civil.
March or April or May of
You think we're civil?
2021, shortly before June, that an investigation into the
Mostly.
investigation of that night had begun, as well as your conduct?
Allegedly. You know,
Yeah,
I'm a
I did learn of that.
I love you.
I love you more.
I love you the most.
I don't know the status of that investigation, being that I've been charged with so many things and haven't been charged with that. I'm assuming that there may not be charges.
Whether or not you were aware that that had begun in the spring of 2021.
Yes, sir. I was aware. Well, at some point in time, I became aware of it. Was that the spring? Was it, February, March, April? I know it was after. I know it was after that night. It was before June 7th.
Before June 7th.
I'm pretty sure that I already knew that.
Did
On June
you
7th.
mentioned Andy Strickland? You know what happened to him?
Do I know what happened to him when?
How he lost his job as sheriff?
I believe that he was charged. I don't know if he resigned or he was suspended.
Okay. Do you remember if that was a few months prior to you becoming aware of an investigation into the investigation of this boat case, including you?
Do I know what now?
Andy Strickland was charged and lost his job. Was that a few months prior to you becoming aware of the investigation into this incident that's on the screen?
A few months prior?
Now, I don't know if they can bring Morgan in on rebuttal, but I feel like the way that the rebuttal works is they have to have already been on the witness list. So if Morgan was on the witness list originally and she didn't get called during like the chief presenting their case in chief, then they can call her on a rebuttal. But I'm curious if they will now call Cousin Eddie in on rebuttal. That's who I thought of immediately was Cousin Eddie.
I don't really know this
I hope
for
they
a
don't,
fact,
because
but I
Cousin Eddie is
believe,
messy as
as
fuck.
I'm sitting here today, I believe that Andy was charged back in the fall. And like I said, we learned about when, I've testified about when I understood there was an investigation into whether or not I was acting in a public manner or whatever it was y'all were investigating, public corruption or that. So if it was a couple
You
of
know
months,
exactly what
if it
they
was a
were
month or two
investigating.
when Andy Strickland got charged, then I mean, if you showed me that, I'd be surprised, because I think he was charged before that.
But this was a friend of yours, correct? The guy who you asked if you could put lights on.
Morgan was Paul's girlfriend at the time of the boat crash.
Vehicle, correct?
Well, I mean, Andy, yeah, I considered Andy a friend. I considered TC a friend, and I considered Tom Carter a friend,
Sure.
all of whom I asked if I could put lights in the vehicle.
All right. And
So yes, sir. I mean, I considered Andy a friend.
would you at least agree with me that in at least the fall of 2020, your friend Andy Strickland was indicted and lost his job for a financial and corruption investigation?
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
Thank you. Finally.
Response.
Your Honor, I think there's a link between his knowledge of that and what he's admitted that there was an investigation going
There
on
isn't. Now
in the
stop
months
it.
prior
Come on,
to the
Waters.
murders.
I'm trying to be on your side, but you're making it very difficult.
And the question is, something about Andy Strickland being indicted? I just don't see the relevance, Your Honor.
Bless it. Gibbs, Griffin and the Poot are confused because they were talking
We can at least
about
agree that you were aware
Matchington
prior
and
to the
how
murders that
bitch
there was this
Tiffany be
investigation,
cheating
correct?
all
The one on
time
the screen.
that damn game.
The one related to the investigation into the boat case.
I missed the question. They just knew.
Was I aware that y'all had started
Objectionable.
an investigation into what I did in the hospital prior to the June 7th?
Yes.
I believe that to be correct.
Well, thank you for summarizing it, Alec, because I have no
And
idea
if it
where the
wasn't
hell he
before
was
that,
going.
it was shortly after it.
Oh, there you go.
are
Now fucking it all up.
Had a full addiction for approximately 20 years.
He
correct?
always leaves that.
that's-
He'll just like
I think that's
kick it
about
open
right.
a little bit.
And
Or it may have been that.
so when did you start
I don't know.
stealing money from clients? How long did it take before you started doing that?
I'm not sure when the first time I did that is.
You don't know?
No, sir.
You
Not
haven't gone back and thought about that?
Well, sure, I've thought about it, but to be able to sit here, I mean, you got to understand, I've been in rehab and I've been in jail, and I don't have access. You know,
To your memory banks.
all my telephone calls were put on the media, so I haven't had a lot of phone access. I haven't had a lot of access. So as we sit here today, I cannot tell you the exact time. I don't deny that I did it, but I can't tell you the exact time that I first did it.
And you told this jury that's the cause of your financial problems?
Did I say that
Your opiate addiction was the cause of your financial problems?
it was certainly a cause? Yes,
A
sir.
cause, not the only cause though, correct?
No, I wouldn't think it was the only cause, but yeah, it was certainly a cause.
You recall testimony in this courtroom about how you had some land deals go bad around the time of the recession in 2008, 2009?
Sure.
And you recall testimony from your law partners in this courtroom that you had some big cases that they thought cured those issues, correct?
I heard them say that. Yes, sir.
Do you disagree with that?
Do I disagree with what they thought? No, I mean, I don't have any
Maybe you
reason.
disagree if that was true.
That they thought that my partners thought that I gotten past my financial difficulties. I have no reason to dispute that, Mr. Waters. I'm not
Was
trying to
that true?
frustrate
Was
you.
what they thought true?
That I was past my financial diffimeans? Is that the question?
Yes, that's the question.
Was it true that I was past my financial difficulties? I mean, they were certainly better after that, but I mean, no, I don't.
What you mean
No, I
better?
don't think I was
What you
past them.
mean, hey?
No, sir.
Do you guys
What was the
know-
first big case after the recession that you had?
Mr. Waters,
Yeah, I don't know either. Let me just pause you. I'm going to skip ahead in a minute, but let me just say this, because I got to get off of here. Because remember, I'm going to be over on Truth
go.
Tellers. Remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Oh.
excited. We're gonna. I can't. I'll tell you later what we're. I'll tell you what we're doing behind the scenes. Is it? She
Oh, are
wants
we
it a
getting up?
surprise.
Oh my gosh, we've been on for 2.5 hours.
Yes, we have, because we're
Wow.
doing What You Mean Hey and looking and laying foundations and shit. And then we had a whole may I please the court moment too. Don't forget about
Why,
that.
yes, Daddy. You may. please it.
And so I think we all got a little
All
bit
right.
for a second. Wait, let me do it again. Like the turkeys, you know?
Oh,
I
well, someone
appreciate
get
everybody
Bubba.
who's
'Cause
I
I'm
really
ready.
appreciate and Bubba. And we can't say enough about Bubba and the way that Alec has dragged that poor pupster's name and reputation through the mud.
I love Bubba.
And here comes Spaghetti Western. Poot sleeping like 1,000-year-old Yoda. See, this is why I like our chat
Wait.
because we can all agree on the Poot.
But this is like the first time since the beginning of this trial that I can actually see his eyes open.
It's because he scooched closer to Griffin. I think him sitting at the end of the table was a bad angle. Poot was.
I think when
Poot,
they
you
were
need
first,
to sit in. You sit in the middle.
I will never forget, as long as we have our trial history memory. I will never forget watching the second interview for the first time in the car when he
Yes.
was, dressed, and he
Yes.
said, I did him so bad, or they did him so bad.
Yes.
So this is like this breakthrough moment, right? We're all
Yes.
hearing it for the first time with our ears. And of course, I look over to Alec and his table, and Pooch is in a sweet slumber. He's just snoozing away. And I'm just thinking to myself, oh,
I will.
taking a nap.
He's
It was after lunch, so I'm not gonna hold that against
I
him.
can't
The
hold
2
it
p.m.
against him
hour.
either because I be taking a nap after lunch too. I'm a whole toddler. We've discussed that many times on this channel. But let me just answer this really quick. Bubba resides with Blanca. So I think he is in a happy home. And I'm not sure who has Grady, because Grady is Buster's dog. So
He
probably
has
he's with Buster.
Oh, didn't Rogan take some dogs too?
Rogan's dog was Cash. And I think
Didn't
he
he also
did take some dogs. Yeah, he might
yeah.
have. I would besides Paul and Maggie, really, the dogs are the true victims, because I will say this, and then I'll scroll to the very end because I want you to see the Poot and all his, because he throws the best shade at the end of this thing.
Oh, cool.
Is the dogs that you could tell in that body cam footage the way they were crying. Hunting dogs have, and labs particularly, have a very distinct bark. They have, well, Dr. B can testify to this. Remember when Nestor barked, how he had a different bark for different situations?
I don't think I heard that dog bark.
You did? Yes, you did. I remember you said, oh my God, he barks.
Well, yeah, because he never barked.
Yeah, because he doesn't just bark at any old thing. He's smart.
Right.
And he has different barks for different.
Definitely caught my attention for sure.
Yes. And he has different barks for different situations. There is a definite different bark when it's like a grown-up human being who is getting too close. And then he has a bark when the kids across the street play basketball in the cul-de-sac. It's a different little bark. It's one that's like a puppy, like he wants to play with them. So
I
those
love
dogs,
Nestor.
I do too. Those, and bless it, I got to talk to you about him later. But those dogs at the kennel were upset. That is how labs act when they're upset, and they're trying to get the human beings, the people with the thumbs who are supposed to be, evolved.
Or the frontal lobe, whatever.
Right, correct.
Frontal lobe,
They're trying to
lobe.
get their attention because they've seen some shit and they're trying to tell your ass about it. I just bless those doggies. All right, so let me go to the very end of the day.
Well, I'm gonna jump down.
No, you have to listen to the end of the day, and then we're gonna go.
Oh, okay.
Don't
Because
you
I didn't
leave.
want to
You're gonna
distract
hear
further.
the Poot. No, you're gonna hear the Poot.
did wrong.
This is
You stole all of the
importante.
money.
Ooh.
Get them out of here.
There are a lot
Stuck in your brain.
of conversations.
They took a very long time today, and
Missed it.
Experts, we brought in basically one of them last night and another one came in today from out of state. They're not
Yeah, I'm here to
complicated.
please
One
the
knowledge
Jen
is
Lou.
testimony for perhaps
I do as she
30 to
said.
45 minutes on the rest. I don't believe there's going to be much cross. The other one is a crime scene analyst who's testifying not about the whole crime scene, but specifically based on the pathologist testimony about what happened with the fever. Total, it should not take more than 2.5 hours. I wonder, since this is apparently going to go on for a while, if we might put them up tomorrow, either first thing in the morning or the morning break.
Water's just straightening up while Poot's trying to talk.
I believe this cross is probably going to go into Monday anyway at the rate we're going.
Monday. Don't say that.
Just an accommodation. They're not controversial. They're not going to opine on who killed who, when, and how. Just the mechanics of what happened.
Your Honor, and I think the defense would have to concede. I've been very as accommodating as I can throughout this, but I do not want to interrupt my cross. They took a very long time today, and the state's
They
entitled
sure
to the
did.
same consideration
They
without
sure
interruption.
did.
Because it took him like
Can you
70
project-
hours to.
How many more hours do you have?
Well, I'm actually didn't think it would take this long to get this far, but I think I've got some more financial to
Wow.
move through, and then we'll get to the other evidence. So
4 hours, 6
I'm
hours.
so bad at that, Your Honor. 3, 4, something like that.
8.
If that's at the outside.
It's music to my
Perhaps
ears.
tomorrow afternoon we could
You're right.
get to 1.
So it means yet another full day of
Your Honor,
Alec.
just leave that door open. I'm going to keep them here because I have to keep them here over the weekend. The financial impact of that is huge.
I understand the dilemma, but I'm not going to require the state to break up the cross-examination of this witness.
Well, and again, as I sit here and listen to this, I could have sworn this was a murder case.
Here it comes.
Right.
2 hours now, we haven't heard the word murder once. And not criticizing the strategy, obviously denigrating the character is what this is about, but really not relevant to the issue of whether he killed.
Credibility is an issue and as it relates to all witnesses in every case. But we'll adjourn until 9:30 tomorrow morning.
Woo!
The Poot. With the shade
He
at the
tried.
very end of the day.
He tried.
He did try.
And he got
did
it in
try.
for the jury. He was just like, wait, before you go, like he just threw it in there.
And Waters is just cleaning up around him.
And then the judge just cementified it. Like,
Yes.
get out of here. All right. Well, thank you for having me, Jen. And I had so much fun and I talked a
Always.
lot.
I'm
Clearly,
glad
I
you
haven't
were
been
here.
out.
Yeah, we need you. I
Among-
want you. You need to come up more.
I
Because
am
you know
doing
I
it.
adore you, and we have the best conversations.
I know. I love you.
I love you too, especially when I get out of hand and you got to reel me back in, and then I got to get a hold of you before you be jumping to conclusions.
You know, I love swimming.
I know you do.
All right. Well, yes, it was so good to see all of my favorite people in chat. Amelia, everybody. I love you guys. And yeah, thank you, Jen. I'm going to
You're
jump down
welcome,
because I
Jen.
need my ice cream, girl. I got like
Oh,
15 minutes.
Oh my God, I want
To get
ice
it.
cream so bad, but it's about to be Lent, and I had to give up all the things I love because I'm a chunky monkey and Lent.
Oh,
So
stop it.
yeah, I had to do it.
Yes. Miss
All
you
right,
too,
I love you.
recliner
I'll
detective. Yeah, bye. Sorry.
Bye, babe. No, you're fine, honey. You're fine. You're fine. You stay as long as you want.
Oh, I'm getting the ice cream, girl.
All right, eat some for me.
I'll be listening. I'll be
right.
listening. Night,
All right,
night.
love you. Good night.
Bye.
I'll see you in a little bit. Bye. All right, you guys. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. The fact that you guys hung in there for over 2 hours, almost 3, while Dr. B and I did our thing, while Alec and Griffin did their thing, and then Waters came and did his thing at the end. And then the Poot comes in with the shade. All right, y'all. I'm going to go. If you need the link, LFT, could you drop it one more time for me, por favor? If you missed the link in the chat for Truth Tellers panel coming up in like 10 minutes, it's in the description. All right, it'll take you right over there. So thank you guys all so very much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you tonight over on Truth Tellers, and then tomorrow for round 2. I think I might stream in the morning. All right. I'll talk to y'all later.